Hey guys, Bobby Thompson here with another episode of Jiu-Jitsu and Coffee, on to episode 11, I believe. And our guest today, our special guest, is Henry Hoffman. And as always, Brenden Secor and Jeff Gates.
Woo woo.
So let's start with an introduction of our special guest. Henry's one of my good friends. He's been training with me at Xequemate since about, I don't know if it's 2010 or 2011.
2011. It was
2011.
late 2010, early 2011.
He's one of the original crew of four. Well, the original Xequemate crew of four, which was Henry and Colin Taylor and
Julian
Abinsay and Ray Donnelly. Yeah.
well, we're all still part of the group, you know. It's just that we're kind of like
Still tight, still family. So, Henry, why don't you give us a rundown? Your jiu-jitsu history.
All right, so it's gonna be a long story.
Go for it.
So, I used to hang out at friend's house, like college times, and run into Julian, and my friend was like, "Oh man, you gotta meet this guy. He's like a ninja. He will freaking kick your butt no matter what." And at this time, I was like, still had a little bit of high school wrestling in me, you know, and it was like.
Did you wrestle in high school?
A little bit. It wasn't really wrestling. It was more like lunch break. Let's go to the wrestling room and slam everybody on their heads. You know what I mean? No submissions at all. Didn't even know what a submission was. I mean, there was this one time this little kid did pin me down, and I was like, damn, how the heck did he do that? But so I had a little bit of wrestling in me. You know, a little bit of slamming, a little bit of trying to hold people down. Call that wrestling. And I met Julian, and Julian was a normal person, you know, looked like a normal guy. I was like, man, he doesn't look like a superhero. This guy's over here is making this guy look like Mr. Fantastic, you know. So Julian one day was like, hey, man, you want to go roll a little bit, you know, get to know a little bit the jiu-jitsu side? I was like, all right, let's do it. So go to the gym, and literally, it wasn't even 5 minutes. It was like first 30 seconds, the dude just like... held me down, took my arms, spun it, and I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck was that? Let's go again. So we tried, you know, going again, and he kept beating me, kept whooping me, and I was just like, oh man, okay, I want to come to a jiu-jitsu class. And I think it was like the next night, come in, and my buddy Julian was wearing a nice black gi, looking all like super ninja. I was like, oh, that looks nice. I saw Bobby. Bobby was like, like
I was a Neanderthal then.
Yeah, he was like king of the hill, just like boom. I was like, man, this guy's scary. So it was a crazy first experience, but I'll never forget. I'll never forget what happened that night. That night was very special. I'll never forget that night. So Bobby was showing this move. It was knee on belly. When the person pushes on the knee, you go underneath the elbow, spin around, and grab the armbar. And I was like, wow, that looks makes a lot of sense. Person puts pressure on the belly, the person pushes, grabs, swing around, get the arm. So I kept that. I was like, okay, if I try this move real, just like this, the same way, I may be able to just pull it off. So I went to go roll that night, and I literally, the guy kind of like let me pass the guard, and I was like, okay, he's letting me play a little bit, so let me hit this knee on belly. So I put the knee on belly, and he pushed on the knee, which I was like, whoa, he's doing it. So I quickly went underneath the elbow, spun around the head, went to grab the arm, and he was like, whoa. He spun out of it, but it was this close, you know. And for my first time, I was like, wow, that was magic, you know what I mean? At that moment, I was like hooked. And I mean, after that, obviously, I got like smashed 300 million times. But the fun part about those nights when you're first learning is the escapes. You know, you make these amazing escapes that, like, if it wasn't for your hand, like, oh, the hand up in there, you know, you're being able to breathe, and the guy's squeezing you really tight, you know. So those escapes were very like. Kept me going a lot, you know. It's like, wow, at least I'm being able to hold myself a little bit, you know. And I would tap quick to just start over, you know. The quicker you tap, the faster you can start. Boom, learn more, you know. Become a sponge, you know. In the beginning, it's always like that, you know. I mean, the more we grow into the sport, obviously, we don't want to let our guard down, you know, which is kind of not the right thing to do. We should be very humble and just accept, but there's times that we have to teach, you know. We can't be super So
let's
that's a little bit about it.
We'll talk more about, obviously we got a while here, so more is going to come out. But I think some of the super and when I think of you, first off, you've probably heard me say on 10 times when people have, new people have been here. New people show up at the school, and Henry will start interacting with them, and I'm always like, "Hey, man, watch out, he's crazy." And I know Henry's like, "Dude, that's kind of fucked up. That's fucked up. Why are you telling him?" Because I don't me as an outsider knowing you. I understand your personality. Yeah. I'm like, he's joking. I get it, right? But I'm always afraid that some people don't understand you're joking, right? That's how I see it. I'm like, this dude doesn't understand Henry's joking, right? You got to understand Henry likes to joke. I like to joke. But I think I'm more obvious. Henry kind of look at someone with a straight face and kind of mess with them, and I'm like, dude, he's just messing with you, So, but let's talk about some of these fights you've been in, man. You've been kind of like you've been kind of dominating the fight scene,
Okay, so
the street fights.
All right, so we'll talk about some.
Let's talk about the first one. What was the first one after you was training?
Okay, so we started training, and the first one was I'm trying to remember here. Hold on. It was at the club. Well, all right. Let's not talk about the first one. Let's just go to
skip the first one.
Let's skip the first one. Let's just go to go to the one where we're at the bars and this dude pushed me into the bush, and I was like, all right,
where's the bush at the bar? How'd this happen?
Oh well, we were just chilling on the sidewalk, and I guess the dude didn't like my energy or something,
See, that's what I'm talking about. People don't understand your. I'm like,
well, that's a deeper conversation about the energy thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That goes into another.
Your
zone,
energy's positive as hell, but some people don't get it right off the bat. It's like, dude, you got to be around him a day, maybe two, and then you understand the energy.
Yeah, and you got to always be positive because not everybody's positive. You know what I mean? If you try to become as positive as possible, you start to see other people's well, okay, this guy's not too much on the positive side. This guy over here is a little bit more on the positive side, So I try to be as positive as possible, even if I'm getting a little bit of bullets coming this way, bullets coming that way, you know what I mean? I try to deflect those a little bit up until the moment that it starts getting a little bit irritating, And then that's when we gotta give a little kick back, because if you don't do that, that's when that person right there could become a different problem, So, yeah, the fight. The guy pushed me in the bush. It was a crazy, just out of nowhere, just come up and push me in the bush. And I get up and I was like, yo, man, are you serious? We're going to have to fight right now. Seriously, let's go. And the dude was like, yes, let's go. And I was like, finally, somebody that wants to fight. So we're walking up the parking lot ramp, and I was like, oh, man, we're on the concrete, So I was like, hey, man, you sure you don't want to go on the grass? He was like, no, fuck that. So I was like, all right, cool, fine, no way. The other one is going to get triangles and fucking beat up. So we go up to the top, and instantly the guy's trying to measure his distance, but he's super far. And I was like, oh, man, this guy's drunk. And I was drunk, too. I was able to keep my balance, but I was on the boat, you know what I mean? And it was rocky. So the guy throws a couple punches, he's trying. So I come in close, and I go to take him down, and I step too close. I went to go do
Ogoshi?
Uchimata.
Oh.
And I stepped too close, and he just pushed me forward, and I fell, and I smacked my face on the ground. And it was crazy, man. Once that happened, I was like, whoa, okay, now we need to this is getting crazy, So I still had him by the neck like this, and I rolled him over. I remember I rolled him over, and then he grabbed me somehow, and we kind of scuffled a little bit, but I managed to get my leg through and roll to my back and lock in the triangle, which was awesome. I was like, yes, I got the triangle. You're done. So what happened at this point is a moment also that I'll never forget, which made me understand jiu-jitsu to a better level. I forgot to grab the guy's leg, and the guy started picking me up, and I was like, oh no, I'm coming off the ground. And at that moment, I had to let go. I literally had to let go. So I let go, and I kind of caught the fall. I got up, and we scuffled a little bit, and then we kind of backed up, and I was like, all right, man, listen, I'm good, I was like, let's just go. And then he was like, all right, we're good. And then he was like, what is that? What was that? I was like, that's jiu-jitsu, bro. So we kind of broke up, went that way, but what's most important is, like, I'll never forget that night because we were fighting and the guy was about to kill me. You know what I mean? Like, he picked me up off the ground. Like, what was the next move?
Mm-hmm.
Literally, what, is he going to pick me up and just hold me there? No, he's going to pick me up and
Crush
slam me. Yeah. So my life, I could say, kind of flashed a little bit in front of me right there, but it also helped me realize jiu-jitsu to such another perspective, you know? It's way more than just locking something in and trying to choke somebody out. It's like, look at what's happening. Look at where you're at. Is this really a jiu-jitsu moment, or is this a life or death moment? You know what I mean? Okay, the guy pushed you into the bush. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like crossing the line big time, you know what I mean? But at a more like better angle, what I could have done would have been just like, hey man, yo, I don't want no problems. You know, I don't know why you did that. I don't want no problems, man. I'm leaving. And if the guy continued to come, then we could have done something. But I was so like infuriated with anger. I was like, no, let's go right now. You know, like I was like, oh, I'm gonna just destroy you, buddy. You don't understand. I'm a blue belt, and that in jiu-jitsu, like compared to the normal world, you know, you're done. But we had alcohol.
I was so
how
itchy.
old were you?
I was like, what, 20,
Oh, okay.
21, 22, something like that.
I was so itching to get in fights when I got my
at
blue
that age.
belt.
22,
I was
22,
like,
22.
At 22 for sure.
I was bumping everyone's shoulder at the clubs.
Yeah.
I was, and it, you know, it didn't help that I had like 5,000 cc's of steroids in me. You know, I was like just a raging, you
He's a
know.
bull. Like, we got a picture of this guy on the wall, and he destroyed another bull, and like that bull was looking at him just like, Bobby was just like, yep.
Yeah, I had some anger
Gotcha.
issues then, man. It wasn't worth it, you know. Like I'm not gonna lie about it. I'll be honest about it. I try to be honest about everything, but yeah, I was on like enough steroids to kill a horse, man. Like horses were, yeah.
But the crazy thing is just like, jiu-jitsu has just changed my life in like so many ways, changed your life so many ways. It helps us grow to another angle that's just crazy. Like before jiu-jitsu, I would love to like I would just want to fight because, you know, me growing up, I wasn't allowed to fight. If I'd get in a fight in school, I'd come home, my dad would beat the heck out of me, even if I got whooped or if anything happened, you know? So I was kind of afraid of fighting, you know, but once I started doing jiu-jitsu, man, fighting has just become like more of like, let's get away from that because I know what jiu-jitsu is. It's like a deadly weapon, and it's up to you to turn it up to that level. You know what I mean? It doesn't just stop at the armbar. Like from the armbar, I can go to like a punch in the face, and you can twist and just like break the arm and keep going. Who says you need to stop at a broken arm? You know what I mean?
A cool thing about jiu-jitsu though is that like let's say I were with a girlfriend or wife, you know, let's say I'm with my wife and some dude starts shit with me, right? He's having a bad day. He starts shit. He wants to fight. It happens all the time. What are you talking about?
It's happened with me big time.
And back in the day, I would have felt the necessity, the necessity to prove to my spouse that I can protect her, right? Like, oh, okay, yeah, well, what, jump out, I'm a man, motherfucker, I'll fight you, whatever. And that probably happened to me like over 100 times. Like, I did my share of street fights, but now I'm like, she knows what I can do. Like I don't see dudes like bucking up. I'm just like, dude, I'm sorry. Whatever I did, have a good day. And I'd like to leave. Is that
please,
cool
I
with you?
would
You know, it's
not like to shoot my weapon at your face.
Yeah, well,
which is my hand.
We'll leave, and she's like, God, that guy doesn't know what he almost got into. Like I know there's still a chance I can lose. I know that, but I know the odds are also greatly in my favor, right? Like, and I don't need to prove anything. And it's cool that I have a spouse that has watched me grow in this and that understands that it's not about me not having, it's that I don't need to prove myself. That's kind of cool. That's cool when that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu.
What about you, Mr. F9?
What's up?
Huh?
What do you got?
So tell me a little bit about your experience so far with jiu-jitsu. Like, you just started. Like, how you feeling? Like, you've been growing a lot. I know you probably haven't been realizing that, but this guy right here.
How many times have you rolled with Brenden?
Probably about like more than a handful, but every time he's just been getting better and better and better, and I have to like
get
a little more sharper with him.
He's
gonna
have
I would
that.
like to know how you feel.
He's gonna have that Jermaine pressure. You know that Jermaine pressure.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. That's nasty pressure.
Tough.
Bro, I'm just patiently waiting. I mean, I'm taking notes. I'm like, yeah, I tapped Henry the other night. That was cool. You
You shouldn't be taking those notes.
I'm
That's
just
gonna
kidding.
happen a lot.
But nah, man. Hey, it's
Just like you tapped me. You tapped me. What? You got me in Kimura? Like,
But anyways, so now back to your story, man. You in your personality, do you have like this like lucky go personality, or you're always in a good mood, but you're also very intense too. So I think that transfers over. So maybe you're having an
I've been in
intense
some
conversation or tense at a tournament, and you're like, no, that's bullshit.
I can see
You know what I'm
real
saying? So
quickly
he's just very intense.
when people first meet Henry, like maybe it's we all see reality differently, right? Like that's one thing I'm coming to learn with doing my side studies is that we all see reality differently. There's no question about it. But when I watch Henry's reality, I know that Henry doesn't see his reality the way I see his reality. I know that, right? Because I understand it's positive energy. Like I love being around Henry, and anyone that knows him wants to be around him. He's fun as can be.
yeah, but I've had some.
But I also see people misinterpret his
Some
energy
reaction.
initially.
Yeah,
right?
but to be honest with you, like seriously, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I
Most of
really
my
don't
friends-
give a fuck because like I've go ahead. Sorry.
No.
I really don't give a fuck because man, like my whole life, like the way my mother raised me, she's just like so much love, just like a lot of love. You know what I mean? And my dad, he's just like. It's like a chain that's on fire, and it's red hot, and it's just whipping and lashing everywhere. You know what I mean?
See those are some of the things I don't understand when you go on your tangents and explaining.
But I
things.
mean, like he's
can see
also
that.
also got a lot of love.
He
too,
makes
and
them
I've
up on the
learned-
fly. That's why.
I know, and I'm like,
out.
bro, that shit went way over my head, but you were intense about it, and it
Yeah.
made sense to you, so I'm digging it, bro.
Yeah,
You know
but
what
I
I
mean,
Other
like,
people will be like, you got to pick from the low flute on the tree. Henry's like, no, I'm gonna make my own right now. This is gonna be cool. He's
No,
like,
man,
this
it's
is-
like when you're
Yeah,
on
throws them
on
out.
the
the
wagon,
hot
flying.
chain whipping and fire because that thing, like, you don't
Hot
want to
chain
get
of
around him
love.
when he's pissed. You can't even understand what he's saying. He's just like, but he's also got a very like loving side. You know what I mean? But it's from him that like I've gotten my like whoa. You know what I mean? Like my sharp side. But yeah, like the positive energy. You just gotta keep the positive energy. Like I've been betrayed a lot. Like I used to have a ring of friends that was like
Yeah.
enormous.
Keeps
and
getting
like,
smaller.
Yeah, and then
The
when
older
I
you get, the smaller
and then
the
when
ring
I was
gets.
down, literally not one of them would like lend a hand. They all kind of like backed off and were like against me. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's like that. Okay, so it's me for myself and I. Cool. And then I met my wife. It's me and my wife and my family, obviously.
Which is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, very beautiful.
But we're not perfect, nobody's perfect. Everybody has problems. What I would like some people to understand is that some people have a level of problem over here, others have a level of problem over here. But this person right here thinks that his level of problem is like
Because it's the
way
highest
up
thing he's
here.
got.
But if he just kind of relaxes a little bit and says, how bad is really this problem? You know what I mean? Because man, if you think about it, you got people that are like their bodies are getting just like eaten by a bacteria right now. There's absolutely nothing they can do. They're out in the middle of nowhere, So that's also something we gotta like think about a lot. I've traveled a lot. I've been to Brazil. I've been to Dominican Republic. I've been to Mexico. Like I've seen a lot of crazy things that I've like come back here and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
Like,
I got-
wow, this right here is like definitely something off of a movie because if you see what's going on out there, like one time I was in Brazil and my wife was like, you want to see a little bit of what the slum looks like? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Well, she took me in like one of the most like chill slums possibly, but to me, I was like, my life is not worth the drive. Let's turn around, just please take me back. Like people were looking at us weird, like starting to get a little intense, But
Just driving through, or were you guys walking?
we were just driving through. You can't walk in there. That's crazy, But back to the energy, like a lot of people. I've been in certain environments where I felt like very negative energy, like an energy so bad where all I could hear is my mom in my head saying like, have faith, be strong. Keep
I
your
feel
head
that
up,
way about Jacksonville. I feel like the city in general has a negative energy.
Oh yeah, I mean it does, but once again, if you only think positive, that negative energy kind of like it's just like a cloud, and you're on the sunny side, you know what I'm saying? But it's not sunny every day, but there's been places that I've been that negative energy is just heavy, and I've had to literally wiretap my brain and just tell myself to just relax, calm down, you know who you are, When you see an opportunity, get out, you know.
I have this thing about the more people you put in a place, the worse the energy. Like I believe that. Like I absolutely hate going to any kind of sport. I will not. I don't want to. I don't care if you got the best skybox seats and I'm sitting next to Donald Trump, or whoever. Like I don't care if it's the king of our nation, whatever. I don't want to be at a game. I don't want to be at a concert. Because people are just idiots. I went to my first concert at 18 years old in Italy. It was Guns N' Roses and
Welcome
Soundgarden.
to the jungle.
And the entire crowd started throwing. See, back then in like 1991, 92, the bottles were all glass. Like they weren't plastic bottles of water. Everyone had water and they were all glass. They just started chucking bottles, and we're in a stadium. The stadium's throwing them down in the center, and they're trying to throw them glass bottles. And they probably took 100 people to the hospital. I mean, they had to stop the concert. Guns N' Roses stopped. They said another bottle gets thrown, we're done, we're leaving. Right. And then we had to wait like a half an hour while stretchers kept going in and taking people out. Wow. And I'm like, it was complete idiocracy. It was complete idiocy. You know, why would people do that? Like, these are human beings. We're all here to have a good time. These people are just throwing bottles down. But, so
I don't want to blame it on the genre, but I kind of do. I took my kids last night to their first concert with me, a reggae concert.
A reggae concert.
Yeah. So that should be chill as hell.
Oh, man, and they kept saying, "Man, it's loud in here." I said, "I know the music's loud, but it's a concert." They're like, "No, it's loud." Like it was smelling very aromatic, in there. But man, we had a great time. We were in the pit, surrounded.
See, I think that's because it was reggae too, though. Like
that's what I'm saying. The genre.
Yeah,
It's good music, good vibes. I understand what they're saying. They're white guys singing reggae music, so it's pretty cool too.
I tell you,
what's the name of the band?
Common Kings. Well, actually, and Iration were performing, but yeah, these guys are from Hawaii, so I shouldn't say white guys. They're like Hawaiian guys singing reggae music, which is awesome.
But yeah, I think a lot of it was Guns N' Roses' fault, because they came out and they started the concert, and the lead singer of Guns N' Roses, I can't remember, is that Axl? Who is that?
Yeah,
Axl Rose, right? So Axl comes out, and this is how he starts the concert. He walks out to the most Catholic fucking nation in the world, and he says, "Noi mangiamo la merda della Popa," which means we eat the shit of the Pope.
Oh my gosh. They
started going crazier, and it got crazier and crazier. It's like, dude, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
This is like the most. This is where the Pope lives. This is his home. You just
like
don't come out.
Suck on rocks.
Yeah, he comes out like you might get away with that in the U.S., right? We're all pissed off about all these rapes going on, right? But he just went out over there and just said, "We eat the shit of the Pope," Wow. So anyway.
And there's mosh pits. There's mosh pits at some rock concerts and stuff like that. I stay away from that because there's people in there throwing elbows and they're having a good time. I look at them, you get caught in the face with an elbow. Wow. Yeah, dancing around.
Wow. I mean, the first time I witnessed somebody bust a bottle on somebody's head, I was at a club over in downtown. It used to be called Square One, and these two guys, they were actually friends, literally. And he busted a Heineken bottle on his head like it was nothing, just like. I was like, whoa. And the guy fell on the ground, passed out, started bleeding. The other dude was just like, yeah, man. And they're like, y'all are friends, I was like...
I don't get those type of friendships.
No, when I saw that, I was like,
friend and like,
whoa.
That's cool.
I mean, I've seen bottles getting busted in movies, but, a bottle's pretty hard,
Yeah, a lot of times they don't break.
Yeah.
Apparently we have a helicopter 10 feet above us or something. It's crazy
yeah,
loud.
We got it.
Well, we can't glance over. We talked about some fights you've been in. How are you just going to glance over the razor blade fight?
Oh, the razor blade fight. That fight right there was intense. I'm not going to say the dude's name because I still think he's hurt to this day, his heart, because how I handled that fight. And there's a lot of people that, they've never, ever in their life had anybody, put them down, ever. So they carry their own energy, which, I mean, is not bad, but, when you just don't care to a point where you're just I'll bang your sister, this and that, to anyone, and just what are you gonna do, those people right there, eventually life is gonna bring them down, and I mean, life teaches everybody, and for a while, this dude's always been just talking about my sister, oh, your sister's so hot, this and that, and I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, I know it, that's what everybody says, but, all right, cool, and I mean, forever, for probably 3 years now, so, I'll never forget this day. We would get to the job, and
you're on job site.
Yeah, job site. And this dude, he started messing with me already. Like, hey, what's up, my brother-in-law? And I was just like, oh, boy. I was like, what's up, man? And he would nonstop, you know? And I told him, I was like, hey, didn't after like probably 4 or 5 times that he said it, I was like, yo, didn't I tell you to stop talking about my sister? He's like, I say what I want. I say it anytime nobody says nothing. Ain't nothing you gonna do about it. And this time he's sitting like on a tree with one of those like razor knives that like you open and close, and people use it to cut boxes, and he's just sitting there sharpening something. I don't know, I think it was a pencil or something. He's just chilling there. And I was like, oh yeah, that's nice, you know. And I walked like right next to him, and literally I just grabbed his hand, the hand that had the razor in it. And while I grabbed his hand, my other hand went around his neck, and I grabbed his neck, and I was squeezing so tight already that he started choking. I could hear him going, like, he was like, what the heck is going on, you know what I mean? And instantly I threw my hook in, and I'm fighting him with this razor, and he's starting to get like pumped up, starting to get pissed, you know? And finally I get him to drop the razor. I think I kind of like climbed up his wrist a little bit and was able to like grab the thumb and kind of just like force it out of his hand, and he dropped it. But when he dropped it, I had his back, and I started like falling almost into guard, you know, and I threw one leg over it, and he kept fighting, and I managed to get an arm bar on him, and he started screaming, ow. I was like, you good? And he was like, I'm good. So I let go, but once again, a fight is totally different than anything. So I let go, you know, I made him tap, and when we split, what did he do? He grabbed his knife and was like, come at me now. You want to come at me like that? And I was just like, yo, calm down, man. Like, I haven't even, like, done really what, like, I could do to you, so just, like, relax, you know? He's like, no, I'm playing this dumb game. I was like, why are you talking crap, you know? You talking crap, you don't expect nothing to happen to you, buddy? That's what you get. Next time it's going to be worse. Relax. Seriously. So he calls my dad, and he's like, hey, man, your son over here doing this jiu-jitsu shit on me. And my dad's like, well, what did you do to him, you know? Because I know he don't just do that stuff to nobody like that, you know? And then he was like, talking about his sister, you know? And then that was it. You know, he got pissed. I mean, I saw him a couple times after that, and I just looked at him like, what's up, bitch? You know? Like, what are you going to do? We know you're a bitch, you know? And I think that haunts him to this day, but I got my eye open if anything happened. You know? But
Yeah, you're the only guy I know that would attack a guy with a box cutter knife, right? There's not many people
that falls back.
I'd probably let him talk shit that day.
Yeah.
No, I waited for the right moment, and that falls back to jiu-jitsu again. Jiu-jitsu is very like, hey, I want no problems. But in your brain, you have to tell yourself, like, okay, there's going to be a point where I have to reverse this because this guy is not going to let me go, and it's going to be bad for you, you know? So you always have to keep that moment, and it's a surprise, literally. Just like I grabbed that guy's hand out of nowhere. He never expected me to do that. He thought he was safe because he had a freaking knife. But he forgot that I was right next to him, and he still hadn't looked at me for like forever, and he kept sharpening it, doing this, and I was like, oh, lowered myself a little bit, and it was quickly like a snap. Boom! Grabbed onto his hand. That's it. Done. Once I grabbed onto his hand, I was so committed, I knew I could just choke him, and just, bam, got the choke on, and I was like, that's it, but I have control of you right now, you know what I mean? So got rid of that, grabbed it, like, it was awesome to so many levels, but that just reminds me one more time, jiu-jitsu, it's not something like most people think, like, put it up, let's go, you know what I mean? It's not, it's used for self-defense, you know what I mean? Self-defense in the point of like, hey, I want no problems, you know what I mean? You snap, you take it, you finish him, you know what I mean? And when that moment comes, your instinct is gonna hit you so hard that your brain is just gonna power drive you through everything, you know what I mean? That's pretty much what happened with the guy in the knife. Like, I wasn't, like, there was only one point where he didn't have the knife no more, and he started getting really, like, bulked up, and I was like, okay, I cannot lose this right now. And I had to do like some super flexible shit. Like, I can't believe it. But once again, when that moment happens, just
So you brought up being impressed by the gi, right? When your first class, you're like, you know, your buddy Julian, is that correct? Had a gi. Bobby looked good in a gi. The other day I was going through Instagram, and I was looking. This dude showed his closet. He's got like it's like a weapon arsenal. You open up the closet door, and this dude has like 20 gis in there, man. All different colors, camouflage gi, purple, black, blue, every color in the rainbow, man.
Yeah.
It's
Not
legit,
more,
man.
not more than.
And they're all
some
dope
people
brands
do.
too. They're not.
Yeah, it's
you
not-
got some show. Yeah, I think you got some.
I got Atama, I got Shoyoro, but Atama, when I go to Brazil, you get it for cheap, like $80. Like a gi that's worth a lot of money. You can get it for cheap.
I've been doing jiu-jitsu 16 years, and I still haven't spent over $100 on
He's
a
the
gi.
best
I'm just
dressed.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You're the best dressed killer in the place, bro.
Well, check this out. In the beginning, I remember my teacher, Bobby, Robert, he told me a big part of you growing in this sport is you being clean, you being respectful. It means cloning your, taking your nails off and other things too, So that's something that makes sense. I used to race dirt bikes, and I used to waste a lot of money, like literally a lot of money compared to what a gi costs. It's not that much money, and it lasts a long time. And if you don't train in a gi, I mean, I suggest you do because it helps your game a lot. Like you literally,
That's really cool, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love my camo gi.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like I'm military.
I know sometimes we don't see you. You blend into the mats. I'm like, fuck, where's he at?
Yeah.
So, are you from Jacksonville originally?
No, I was born in South Florida, and
Like
moved
South
up.
Florida,
Yeah,
Miami,
like South
Key
Florida,
West?
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I moved up in like '09, and started working, and just
And you're multilingual as well. I heard.
trilingual.
Trilingual.
Yeah, I speak Spanish, Portuguese, English, a little bit of French, but I don't consider that anything. I'm just.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
dope. I have
Super
an
cool,
admiration
man.
for everyone who speaks 2 or 3 languages. I went to my first experience. I'll never forget. I went to Fort Lauderdale, and these dudes started trying to speak to me in Spanish. I went in the gas station. I'm just like, yo, I don't understand.
Miami for me. I don't
Yeah.
speak Spanish. Jeff, do you speak different languages? Anything?
There's some Spanish, but not fluent.
Yeah, what's going on with Jeff? Come on, welcome out of
He's
the
warming
box.
up.
What's
He's
going
warming
on?
Coming
Well,
up over
he's-
here.
I wanted to do something if you guys don't mind.
What do you want to do?
It's called there's a translate app, and I wanted to test see if who can decipher, because I don't speak different languages, but just for when I travel, right? I think this is cool. You can just talk to different people through an app.
Or you speak to it, or you type it?
You type it in this might take too long. but,
Because I used to.
We got time. Get ready.
I used to use a translate app, in the beginning to try to speak to my wife.
Really? What did she speak?
Well, this was
You
when we.
spoke? What are you talking about? I
Yeah, but
thought
this
you
was
were
in the first few days when we first met, you know what I'm saying? And the problem with the Translate app, sometimes, I don't know about this one, but the one I used, when you say something in English, it translates something, pretty much the same thing to Portuguese, but the problem is that word in
too
Portuguese
literal.
means something
Yeah.
else. So you sound like a retard, you know what I mean?
Well, let's test it out. I'm gonna play something in a different language, and then see if you guys can
All right.
decipher it. But give it time. Maybe for those who don't speak, maybe you can figure it out by just learning. So listen to this.
Hallo, wo kann ich etwas essen und Bier bekommen?
Hi, where can I get something to eat and a drink?
Boom,
A
got it.
beer. And
He
where can I-
speaks German, huh?
Yeah, he speaks German. So for those who don't know, that was German. All right, let's talk about the
Sprechen
next
Sie
one.
Deutsch?
At a B2 level, certified.
BJ. I took 2 extra years of Spanish in high school to get out of math.
Alright. So Jeff, what about your jiu-jitsu? How do you feel about it right now?
I'm enjoying it, for sure.
You've grown a lot. Jeff, he's got some other special arts in his arsenal,
I haven't been rolling with Jeff enough. I'm curious. But I'm looking at Jeff right now. I'm like, I gotta roll with this motherfucker.
Jeff,
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, because this
Jeff's
game has. I've
it
been
has grown
watching
a
it.
lot. Everybody's game grows, and the person that's laying the smack
I feel
down
like mine.
feels it the
I
most.
feel like mine grows in this direction for a little bit, and I don't get bored with it, but then I get distracted by something else, and then it grows over. It's not a linear path. You know what I mean? It's
Mine's
I'll
goes
play
like this,
guard
too.
for 2 weeks, and then I'll play top game for a week, and then
And he travels too. He goes over to Louis.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a lifetime.
I've been going over to Luis's on Wednesdays, and whenever I stay overnight out of town, I find some place to train.
All right, for the Spanish speaking, here's the next one. Come on.
¿Dónde está la discoteca bailando?
Where's
That's
the
easy.
club?
Yeah,
Where's
that
the
was
club dancing?
That was an easy one. I knew that one.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
Donde está? Where is?
¿Dónde
Yo
está?
quiero Taco Bell.
I'm
I speak
okay.
about.
Yeah.
All right, so I messed this up.
So yeah, bring it out. What you got?
So the next one.
What whiskey is that? Let me see that whiskey. Pass that whiskey.
Yeah.
Real quick.
You didn't want any. That's the
Devil's Cut. Oh, look at these guys. They drinking that Devil's Cut right there.
Masonic juice right there.
Nice.
All right. You ready? Last one.
Onde posso encontrar médico? Meu Wiener dói.
Oh, where can I find a doctor? Something hurts. My ear?
Onde posso encontrar médico? Meu Wiener dói.
Yeah. Something. Where can I find a doctor? My something hurts.
Okay. Yeah, I messed it up.
That's all right. That's all right.
Where can I find a doctor? My wiener hurts.
Yeah, that's why she said
Too literal,
Wien-
probably.
Too literal.
Something weird. She said something weird.
Anyway, so I think that's a cool app for traveling, you know.
Yeah.
But I definitely would like to learn and you know speak.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
I-
Other than shit talk. Like,
I
shit
tell
talk
you,
is a
If
bunch
you
of
immerse yourself, if you go there, you'll. Like,
Yeah, that's the
very
easiest
quick.
way. Well,
Just-
but I think at like prior to like 20 or 21,
Yeah.
it's real easy. But once you start getting older,
sure.
it gets harder and harder.
I wouldn't
and
even
harder.
want to try and learn a language now.
Yeah. It's not easy, but I look at it like this: if you speak another language, you're like a spy.
Yeah.
You're just like
If
a
I moved to
secret.
Spain, I guarantee within a month I would be up to snuff.
I love, I mean, to brag a little bit, but when I was in Italy and after a year, some Italians thought I was Italian. And we're talking a year. Of course, I was like drunk, drinking grappa every night. Right? Like, and when you're
Grappa.
drunk, your tongue loosens
Yeah.
up. You're like, you
Oh,
don't know. You're just making mistakes. You're just like, ah, and then I was drunk every night. So, you know, after a year of just being drunk, hanging out with only Italians, I never hung out with Americans. But like after a year, I'm sitting there talking about shit that Americans don't know how to say. You know, nut and thread, philo, dado, whatever. You know, chain, wood, sprocket. I knew words. I knew every word. It didn't matter what it was. My Italian was pretty dope. I always had a dictionary in my pocket, and when I would always be looking for a word I didn't know. Like I'd be like, "Oh shit, how do you say ceiling, soffitto?" Or how do you say, wall, muro, or whatever? How do you say door, porta, whatever it was? I just look around, light, luce, whatever it was. I just looked for that word, and if I didn't know how to say it, I'd get out my dictionary.
One thing I learned just having friends, being in, you know, I'll go back to my Navy days, right? I had a friend, his name was Mendez, last name's Mendez, and he was half Haitian or Puerto Rican and half Dominican Republic, but he looked like a black guy, right? Spoke fluent English. So we were in Panama, you know, went into like a pool hall, playing pool, drinking beers, and like these dudes were like talking shit in Spanish about it. You know what I mean? And like he let it go on for a little while, and then after like he looked at him and was like, after you know a little while, he looked at him and told him, you know, I know, and he told him in Spanish, like, I know exactly what you're saying. You say one more thing about me, I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's cool about learning
Speaking
another
more
language.
than one language.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure you probably ran into that when you
Oh.
were in Brazil. People were probably talking smack.
No, not really
so
in
much?
Brazil, but here, like, trust me, growing up, I've heard a lot of people talking crap. You know what I mean, it's
In
just,
different languages.
It's common, yeah. Like you hear people talking crap all the time, but it's not so much like. It's just either if you're like at a place where everybody's drinking, you know.
Blatantly. doing
Yeah,
it,
but not like maybe at the supermarket you'll hear somebody saying like, "Oh, I wish this person had less groceries," you know. And you kind of just look back at them like, "Okay, see."
I gotta eat.
¿Qué más quieres? Dime, you know.
That's what's up.
So, yeah.
So let's take a break from jiu-jitsu for a minute.
Okay.
So I consider this whenever I
Damn,
have
we're almost
someone
done.
on. Oh yeah.
You're almost done.
warm
You
it up.
gonna load them back up? Oh,
Load it
boy.
back up.
Whenever I have someone on
back
from
up.
Jacksonville, I consider it like Spotlight Jacksonville, right? And I don't know who's gonna watch this on the internet, but we have people, ironically looking. I don't know if ironically is the right word, but we have people watching from Canada, from
Canada.
Turkey, yep, Asia,
Asia.
Philippines. You know, like people actually are watching. Like, 'cause I get
wanna
all
do
those
it.
stats. Like, people watch from all over that. And I'm like, who the hell who's watching in Turkey, right? Like, who's watching in Canada? I want to know, who is this dude? Like, reach out to me, tell me.
Leave a comment.
Be my only
right?
fan. I don't care.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But the point of it is I like to let them know who you are. So I like to go off, you know, let them know just how weird we are here. So first off, religion. What are your religious beliefs? If it's
Alright.
private, say it's private.
Well,
if I ask you something private, say
I
it's
really,
private.
yeah. Let's keep religion out of it because unfortunately, like, people, when you speak about religion, they just look at the way you speak different. You know what I mean? I mean, I feel like we can speak about religion on another time.
Politics, religion.
Yeah, I know. In my belief, I just know that there's a greater one, and I know who he is. You know, and it comes in different forms. You know, so let's talk about that another time, because people really, if you speak about religion, they look at you in a weird way. You know what I mean? But
I don't care. I don't like.
But
I personally don't care. I'll talk about my beliefs and.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like,
I think
have
people
my
need to be
beliefs.
open-minded to your like. I'm learning, right? I'm 46 and I'm still learning. I piss people off all the time, and my goal is to get to a point where I can not piss people off. Like we're so quick to get angry as individuals when some people objects to our point of view, and other people do it too. It's not just me. Like someone will kind of not realize they're ridiculing you, you know, instead of just like having a open-minded conversation. It's like. Yeah, it could be on a number of topics, but I think we should all just be open-minded and appreciate people's beliefs.
The hard part about it is just like, if I was to speak about religion, I would have to like explain it, you know what I mean? And everybody would have to explain why they believe, and like it all falls back to.
But I don't think there's anything. Why not? Why not? And I'm not challenging you, like if you don't want to, but. You may change someone's life.
It's just, I know, but let's talk about that on another time, because that's like a long topic, and like for us to talk about that, we have to like get really deep to a point where we're gonna
break
like
out some books.
We're gonna argue, you know. Just know that I've had my moments, and my life has flashed in front of my eyes a couple times, and trust me, I'm grateful. I know, you know, I'm not perfect. I try every day not to be perfect, but I try to succeed, and I try to be better than how I was, you know, like. If you do something that's not good, you know, try to break that habit. Obviously, you can't go cold turkey, but you can slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? Just try, you know, because at the end of the day, you're fighting a battle against yourself. You know what I mean?
So one of the things I like, you know, obviously, if you never touch on a controversial topic, you know, it's going to be people want to hear controversial topics. So let's talk about another one. And again, you can decline because maybe business reasons, maybe just a different controversial topic. Drugs. What are your take on drugs?
Drugs. If you don't use them, you're good. Like, don't try them. There's no need for you to try them. Like, there's better things for you to do. You know what I mean? Obviously, drugs expand into like different web. We have like lots of drugs. You know, there's like street drugs. There's pharmaceutical drugs.
So you believe in gateway drugs?
I don't believe in no drugs.
No. Hold on. Wait. What
I
you
mean,
said?
everybody tries it, but
you said you believe that. One drug expands into more.
Well,
so
no, not one drug, but like all the drugs. They like.
So you're saying any drug, like if you were to do what society considers a drug, any one of those, that you think that'll morph into more and more drugs. That basically they'll become a drug.
Well, check this out. Like, it's another hard topic. Everybody has their own opinion, but what I want to explain is this. We have people that use medicine for pain, you know what I mean? And that person needs that medication, you know what I mean? Because they feel pain and they don't want to feel the pain no more. However, the medication has side effects, you know? And there's also people that use that medication because they just want to get high, you know what I mean? And they're using it in the wrong way. They don't have a broken leg, you know? And there's also people that are addicted because of whatever reason. Everybody has a different path.
So is getting high a negative connotation? Is it negative to get high?
Well, it's not negative to get high, because when you go for a run, you can get high. You know what I mean? When you go for a swim, you can get high. You know?
I consider
there's lots of different highs.
Some people consider getting high expanding your consciousness.
But check this out. Like, you got a guy shooting up heroin, like he's expanding his consciousness to like death. You know.
And
that's a different type of drug.
That's a different type of drug,
but it still falls under the category of drug.
Well, no, that's why you get to. This is a time where you get to express your opinion and maybe educate people or maybe change people's.
Do you know that 70% of street level heroin users today started on prescription drugs?
Yeah, so
from the FDA and all the pharmaceutical.
I mean, yeah. So
and that's from National Institute for Drug Abuse.
I think if it's nature, I don't. See, I think we classify things as drugs that shouldn't be classified as drugs.
Oh, yeah.
I think if it was created in nature, more than likely it's a medicine. That's my belief. I don't mind
Yeah,
saying it. I got
but you
students
gotta
out
look
there.
at people
don't
that
care how they
that
interpret
do that are like
my
that do
belief.
cocaine and they say, oh well,
That's
cocaine
not-
came from a plant. You know what I mean?
Well,
And then
but
they got
it's
people that do
synthesized,
heroin
though,
that
right?
say it
Isn't
came
that
from
what
the
it's called?
poppy seed.
I don't know. I don't
you
mess with cocaine. I don't.
No, well, they take it from a leaf. Because
Yeah.
the tribes in Colombia, they would chew on
You
it to
can
get energy
chew-
to go find.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Sort
the
of like-
poppy
It was more like a
fields and all this
caffeine
and
type
that.
deal,
It's-
right? If you
right.
More like kratom. If you chew on
Yeah.
it, you get a stimulant. If you
Yeah.
chew too much, it's a depressant. But
and that
you have
comes.
to-
And doesn't that come down to anything? You can overdo anything. Of
course.
Like absolutely, you can overdo
But if you
cheeseburgers.
eat too many leaves and fall asleep, it's a lot different than ODing on cocaine.
Right.
Yeah, but
Because
like,
it's the natural form of.
Right.
but like, I see what like. Okay, so marijuana, it's natural, you know, but.
I firmly believe in the medicinal use. Of marijuana.
Well, I mean,
And the
there-
recreation use.
Well,
I just
a
can't
lot
do
of
it.
people, a lot of people,
You know, and
a lot of people. It helps people, you know, like if they're having a stress day, they relax, you know. But I mean, it shouldn't be used, like, shouldn't abuse it, you know. But people should understand that the way marijuana is grown, they're putting chemicals obviously into making the marijuana grow. Obviously, we do have organic ways to make it grow. You know what I mean? But
If you look at pictures of like the way
Yeah, but,
it
like-
looked back in the day compared to now, yeah, the strains are a lot stronger.
Yeah, and,
it's
like-
a little bit more enhanced.
it
but I
makes
still think
more
the benefits
effect.
of marijuana is tenfold better
Man,
than
here's the thing.
opiates, right?
Look,
people are
um,
dying from that. Opiates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all got to be careful what we say because some of us have jobs and like some of us have, I don't want to say followings, but people who look up to us that, and I'm not encouraging anyone to go out and do drugs. Like,
Yeah,
but it's a conversation that grown adults should be able to have.
Yeah,
we
like
should be able to
in-
have this conversation, and man, I think cannabis makes it. I mean, I think it makes you a better person. I've never met someone who uses cannabis that, you know, it makes you a happier person. It makes you right. Like if anything should be outlawed, if you're gonna outlaw, it should be alcohol. Like don't get me wrong. Like we should be sitting here
As we
smoking
drink it.
cannabis. No, but my point is,
we live in a state that we're not legal
It's
yet.
taxed and
so
it's
it's
ran
like,
by
you know.
these
Right.
freaking multi-million-dollar
I wonder
companies.
if in
Yeah.
20
Same thing with the
years-
alcohol. Let me see that alcohol real quick.
Yeah, that's
I
what
wonder
we're
if
talking
20
about. I
years
hope
we'll be
so.
sitting here
Check this out.
smoking cannabis as if it were cigarettes and no one has an issue with it
I hope
because
so. I hope
the
so.
moment the government
20
says
years?
it's okay. No one has a
Yeah,
problem with it.
this right here, this used to be against the law.
Yeah.
This was illegal.
Prohibition.
Law has
You know
nothing
why
to do
that
with
was against the
morality.
law?
Look, it's now got a label on it.
But you know-
It's legal.
And you know,
You know.
And I was thinking about that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was when I bought that bottle on the way here. Right, I'm in the liquor store. There's a drive-through, and there's like it was like as I was
Well, I've
waiting
been to
in
those
line,
drive-thrus.
there was like 3 guys that drove up. Boom, let me get. They asked for what they wanted, and then I'm waiting, and another guy drove up. Boom, let me get a ball Hennessy. Another guy drove up, and I was thinking that, man, in a few years this is probably gonna be like.
Cannabis.
Be cannabis,
Should be.
right?
I hope
Where
so.
people just drive up. Hey, let me get
because I think we'd have a
Purple
better
Durple.
country. Like if you took all the people that were drinking alcohol
Blue waffle.
and they were all smoking cannabis, I don't think we'd have the murder
Anywhere
rates and
near,
all that stuff.
no.
All these dudes would be like just chill, you know?
And yeah, and also alcohol. If you stop drinking alcohol, you could potentially die. You know,
Yeah.
because you're having alcohol
Severe
withdrawals.
alcoholics?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
can't just like cut it. You know what I mean? So every drug has a side effect. You know, and like I said,
But-
we don't encourage you to go use any drugs. However, the best way is to just be clean because you have a straight mind. It's not easy. It's tough. You know, everybody has ups. Everybody has downs. We all have bumps. You know, we all.
But I mean, let's see, but a cancer survivor, someone who's going through chemotherapy, who
Oh.
can't eat, who is in severe amount of pain.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Would you
definitely.
rather them have them smoke a joint so they can
Yeah.
eat food?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no,
feel
no,
better,
of course.
And not have
or-
side effects.
Like if
and
that's
not have
what's,
side effects,
yeah, if that's
or
what's gonna
take
make you
4 Vicodins, which are freaking synthetic opiates that get you addicted, and your kids or your grandkids or whoever
Right.
gets in your cabinet, steals them, takes them to school. I mean,
Yep.
it just cascades to me.
Yeah, but-
and I just think that for medicinal purposes, it's the most amazing thing, and I'm glad we're kind of steering towards that and going towards legalizing it.
Yeah, no. If it's definitely gonna help, if the person has cancer, trust me, I know about cancer. My brother had cancer. He passed away in 2007. You know,
My bad.
he had
I'm
a.
sorry. It's
No,
horrible.
it's all good. It's just like I understand that path. You know what I mean? Like when a person's going through chemotherapy, it's like the most hardest thing in the world. They're blasting you with radiation. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's just like literally it's frying stuff that's inside of you, and it's not made for humans. Like,
And I still think that's farm like
years
conspiracy.
ago they never had that. You know what I mean? And I mean I get it. Like if you don't go through it, like it.
It's all big pharma.
Sorry.
No, it's all.
But I think chemo is probably.
They feed you all this food in a box for the first half of your life, and then the second half of your life they feed you.
Yeah, it all
drugs to
falls.
fix it.
It all falls
Yeah.
back down to
Get you
the
fat.
to the
Yeah,
to
or
the
get
Fat and
shots.
fix you.
Remember the shots when they were talking about the shots? Why the heck should a
vaccinations.
newborn have a vaccine versus
50 or 60 vaccines now.
what's that? Hepatitis. Why should a new baby like
Be
3-4
injected
months
with
have a vaccine for hepatitis? Like, you know, I forgot the name of the guy that was talking about it. It's from that movie called The Animal. Some crazy actor, I forgot his name. He goes nuts. He becomes an animal. He's a human that becomes an animal. Like he just starts acting like an animal.
Oh, are you talking about the who was in that movie?
I forgot his name, but he made a great point. You know, he said, "Why we didn't do this before? Why are we doing it now?"
Yeah,
you know?
and why it shouldn't be mandatory. The government shouldn't be able to force you to put chemicals in your body that you don't. I mean, they should be able to go, hey, here's the benefits, but they're not out there advertising the negatives, right? They're just like, you know. But then you listen to someone like Bill Gates talk about they're trying to cut, you know, sperm productivity down in males by 50% or something like that
all
with
falls
vaccines.
back to that human control.
Give them
You
fluoride.
know what I mean? Like you have to understand that like we are
Fluoride
in
in there.
we're in a time right now that people are like, oh, the future. We are in the future. You know what I mean? Like, don't expect cars hovering like Star Wars. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not saying that won't happen. That probably could happen because we're so freaking smart. You know, the humans are just like evolving. We got robots now that can open a door. You know, I posted that the other day. I was like, wow, that's crazy. 10 years ago, you would have never seen that or thought about
We're
that.
pretty advanced, but when you think about the world in general, we've only been here like a blink of an eye
Yeah, no, like,
compared to the galaxy.
yeah, but like,
There is no galaxy, bro.
Oh, sorry. That's a different podcast, Bobby.
let's
Oh, no,
not
it's
go
not.
down that road. Let's not go down that road.
Okay.
We need to have like a button that we press that goes like.
I didn't have safe words.
Why are you afraid, bro?
No, we just-
shouldn't be afraid.
We
Pineapple
that's
juice.
for a
Pineapple
separate
juice.
time
Pineapple juice.
because
Afraid, bro. You shouldn't be
those
afraid.
roads right there, they're long.
No, they're not. They're short roads.
The end of
We-
those
you-
roads are good.
We've kept them at 5
You know?
minutes before.
Well,
We can do it.
You know,
Let-
safe words, pineapple juice.
so falling back to jiu-jitsu. So jiu-jitsu.
Thank you for the compliment, by the way. It actually boosts my
which comment?
the compliment. You were saying that every time you roll with me, it's getting
Yeah, like I don't know if you do jiu-jitsu and you've started at one level and you've gone with someone, you will notice that person growing a lot.
Well, one of the big ones I saw last week had a roll with Craig Bogdan. His game's come up a lot. Not taking anything away from anyone.
Raging
here,
Cajun.
but I really noticed, man, Craig. Man, he flew around my guard, and then I just fought. I was
Raging
like, get a
Cajun's
case of guitar because they were a
strong.
case for like 20
He's
minutes
a
or
raging
something.
Cajun.
Man, I didn't think I was gonna get out. I thought he was gonna break my arm. My arm. He didn't know it, but he had my arm at like that.
Weird
like
angle.
the 1%. It was like
Yeah.
he went past the 99%, and he was like, if he just knew that there was only 1% more to go, and he like,
Yeah.
it was just like 1%. I was like, Jesus, if he just, I'm waiting for that 1%. He never made it to the
Well,
1%. I was like, man,
Yeah, jiu-jitsu,
he's so close to.
jiu-jitsu, it's awesome, And if you take jiu-jitsu and like I look at jiu-jitsu today at a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
From before. Totally different.
Oh, yeah.
I came into it thinking like, fight. Yes, I'm finally gonna learn how to fight. I'm gonna be able to like wreck.
And then you learn how not
I'm
to.
gonna, for those who haven't rolled with Henry, I'm gonna put Henry on the hot spot right now.
Oh boy.
And I'm gonna be brutally honest with him, and he knows I'm not.
Yeah, honesty's good. It helps us grow.
He used to train 5 days a week,
A lot.
and now he's more like 5 a month on a good month. Like
you
in the
know.
last few years, but he got married. I understand he's got a beautiful wife. I'd be the.
We
I'd
work
be the,
a lot,
and he works. You got a new
Try the
family.
hardest. We got a
and you
nice
got to work.
aquarium.
But Henry could have been, and may still be, a world champion. Like I remember. I remember when you said you were going to train with Kai Otera. I was like, I hope he rolls with Kai.
He didn't wanna roll.
I know, but I'm just like in my head, I'm like,
I wanted
Henry
to
could
because
get
he
him.
has
You
some
know, like I
good
wanna.
moves, like, I mean, it's.
But you've got Henry Jiu-Jitsu, and it's
Yeah.
it's an unknown Jiu-Jitsu. It's a total secret. anyone who
I mean,
has
I'm only
rolled with you
28
for any
years
period
old.
of time.
I mean, what, I'm not gonna quit tomorrow. I'll do this for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? I'm just at this point in my life right now. It's like I've grown, like compared to where I was. You know, I used to be the type of guy that just used to just party. You know, I was like party, 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 work, party, party, party. So right now, you know, I'm on a level where I'm like, okay, I can see a pattern, and I can see like where I've made mistakes, and I can see how to grow more, you know, and I'm aiming towards this direction that, you know, I mean, it does suck. I wish I could be doing jiu-jitsu every single day, because doing jiu-jitsu every day is awesome, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm on a level right now where I'm growing, and my plans that I have are to make my jiu-jitsu get better. Trust me, just wait until you see what's yet to come. But
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey.
But jiu-jitsu, it's awesome because,
Dude.
man, I adapted to my life. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just saying the other day, Bobby's teaching a class. He's like, yeah, I'm about to teach you the Henry move, and you roll in, dude. You walk into a class, and the teacher, the coach, the professor is like,
I know.
I'm about to teach.
You're
Exactly right. Exactly.
That move happened.
And you're like,
I didn't get it. I
Henry's
didn't get it at first until I got all the way around. Then it made
was
sense.
awesome. We're talking about
I
the-
Your
read it
special
like 4
moves are being
times.
taught.
Well, it's not really my special move. I mean, it happened, and I did it. You
It's
know,
a
but
sequence of events. that-
yeah.
But it's the way Henry moves.
yeah.
It's his style.
Yeah.
It's his. He creates these angles that a normal jiu-jitero would never create. Like honestly, that he does. He creates angles that
Thank
a
you.
normal jiu-jitero
Appreciate
would
it.
never create.
I just feel like I need to pack a little more weight. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
sometimes when they stretch that arm out, I'm like, oh. You know, I'm at what, 156 right now. Last time I weighed myself, but it'll fluctuate. You know.
But you know what?
Speaking of packing weight,
I saw.
This guy's
Yeah,
heavy.
you talking about me?
Super heavy.
no,
But
Go ahead,
we'll
sorry,
come
Bob.
back to that.
We'll come
Ultra
back.
heavy.
I saw you. Now here's the thing. Like I just complimented the heck out of Craig, so he can't get upset about this. We should watch it.
Is it live right now? Are we live today?
No,
Yeah,
we're not live yet. We
Oh.
probably go live next week. But
Okay.
I watched you roll with Craig, and I can't handle Craig the way you handle Craig. Like I watched you roll with Craig, and like you subbed Craig several times,
gotta
and I'm like,
absorb.
dude, I can't do
Yeah, but
that.
he
Like
got
I'm
me
watching
too.
you roll with him, I'm like, shit, I can't do that. I mean, I've been training like 3 times as long as you were 2 or 3, you know, somewhere between 2 and 3, and I'm just like, how does Henry do that? I give 100%, and I can't do that with Craig, you know.
But then you roll with Nikki.
Yeah, and she's tough. She's tough.
And
She's
Nikki's tough too,
She's
right?
tough. But
I love our family, man.
a
Like,
person that's also
it's pretty
growing
cool.
is we got a lot of people that are growing a
Yeah,
lot, you know what I mean?
for sure.
But
What can you say about Nikki's game?
oh, she's got a tough game. If you saw her at the competition, she like
Yesterday?
like it was
New breed
tough.
comp
Like
he's talking about?
the girl was like, she underestimated her, and she beat her, you know.
Yeah.
But everybody's game is just growing so much, you know what I mean? And if you take jiu-jitsu into a lifestyle mode, it helps you grow even more, because when you adapt it to your normal life, same thing in jiu-jitsu, you're stuck. What are you gonna do? You need to make a frame, you know, you need to make a frame, you need to try to get out. And when we have problems in life, the problems, like I said, everybody has different problems, you know what I mean? But if you kind of look at it in like a jiu-jitsu perspective, it's like, okay, a problem. What's the first thing you do in jiu-jitsu when you have a problem? Like, what would be a problem? Okay, he just passed my guard. Problems. He's gonna try to pin your hip. He's gonna try to get that arm underneath your head, or he's gonna come with the knee on the belly, or a couple other options, you know? But those are all problems to us. So how do we address those problems, you know? And what benefits do we get? So when you take jiu-jitsu, like, techniques pretty much, which is like addressing the problem, you know, and to your normal life, your problems become more of like not so much of a problem. You're addressing it. You're trying to deal with it. You're doing way more than what you was doing, you know what I mean? And if you don't notice it, it's helping, you know, that problem like go away. It may not go completely away, but you've done a lot, you know.
it's pretty deep, man. Like, I
Yeah.
never looked at it like that. But the way I interpret what you're saying is basically, you know,
what I mean?
you take some time to think about it and relax. Like, if you're having problems,
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
How is this problem gonna end right now? You know what I
Breathe.
mean?
Don't let it suck the life
Yeah,
out of you.
because in life you can't just
you know?
tap. You can't just go tap. Oh no, you gotta deal with it. Like a lot of people have bad problems, and you know, it sucks. Like not everybody can do jiu-jitsu, but it all goes back down.
I don't know. I saw a post today, you know, through the newsfeed. 98 years old guy celebrated his 98 years.
Oh,
Jiu-Jitero.
oh no, there's some
You know what
old
I'm
ones
saying?
out there, but not
That's dope.
everybody.
There's
like,
guys that start after 70 and get
just
their black belts.
just explaining to someone, like, you gotta understand that, like, we look at jiu-jitsu a different way, but if you're from the out, like, if you're looking at jiu-jitsu from the outside, you're looking at jiu-jitsu like it's just like karate or
Who said
kickbox.
that?
A lot of people
Point
say
him to me.
that. A lot. Trust me.
I'll handle it.
Trust me. It's
call it
it's
ground-
all martial art, but
call it
like
karate.
they don't understand. Even karate and all those
South American
martial
ground
arts, those
Yes.
martial arts, they all
South
transmit a
American
different
ground
energy
karate.
that you can
Oh, for
apply
sure.
to your day. Like karate, you get the discipline. I believe karate gives you such a discipline where, like, if you apply that discipline to the way you handle your problems, the way you wake up, the way you go to sleep, the way you make your food, that discipline will make you grow, you know what I mean? Jiu-jitsu, I believe, is more about the side of just getting, like, smashed and surviving that and coming back and being better, you know?
The one thing that I love about it, right, and the reason I come back all the time and why I'm here now is like I found a place where I feel like I belong and fit in, right? Like I was telling my kid Brianna the other day and Kehlani, like I think like probably the best decision I made in my life in the last easily hands down 10 years is starting jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
like
and
meeting everybody here.
When did
and
you
just-
hear about it before?
Well, I used to drive by Xequemate. I mean, I live right down the road, so I'm driving by Xequemate all the time. I'm like, what is that place? You know, oh, self-defense, you know. I had a friend whose kid
And it's a hidden
came here.
gem because if
It
you
is a
ride
hidden
by, it's
gem.
kind of
Yeah,
like
It's kind of like, look, but what you
Shaolin
don't know,
Temple.
you go
Oh.
inside, you meet these people, you create relationships, you learn some self-defense, you know, you can compete if you want to. The competitive hype is just not going to be my thing right now.
Yeah, it's just, don't worry.
But hands down, one of the best decisions, man. You guys are awesome. and,
I-
you know,
here's the thing is I used to, some people don't know, and I don't talk about it a whole lot. I try not to be too braggadocious, although it's still a problem I have. I used to have a uber successful IT company. You know, at one point I had like 40 guys working for me. They were all contracting out there, and we also had hundreds of what we call SLAs, where I have businesses that just pay me every
service
month
level
and-
agreements.
Service level agreements, and
I'm an
and I just spent years traveling the world, right? Money was good and it was coming in every month, and I had more than I could spend, and I had Corvettes in the driveway and a couple houses, and life was good. And I just spent the money as fast as it came in. And I hated that. Like I hated the business side of it. All I wanted to do was go away from it. Because the first couple of years I just grinded. It's like I'm just gonna grind and make money and grind, and 18 hours a day, day after day, Monday through Sunday, and I grinded and I kind of built this thing, and I learned that people turn their backs on you. People will steal from you to take what you've earned, and business just became this thing that I absolutely loathe. Like I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be a businessman, right? So when I started doing jiu-jitsu and I started, there came a point in time when I tried to make it my income, right? I said, well, let me make this my, and then I started hating jiu-jitsu, right? Like,
Really?
Oh yeah. I was like, man, I didn't want to. You go to work and you go there and someone hadn't paid you yet, and then you gotta bring them off to the side, you know, and then you gotta market people, and then people come in, you gotta try to sell them, and then if you want to be really good at it, you gotta take them in an office and close the door and try to get their signature before they leave, and it's just like
LA
there's-
Fitness, you know?
Yeah,
you
dude,
know what I mean?
it's all
Don't
this-
sue me, LA Fitness. But that's kind of how I felt when I went in there for a membership.
And I didn't like that. I didn't. So
Sorry,
I
know
no, and
about
it goes worse. I could sit there and go on and on and on
Right.
about, and
But what you've created here is great.
I don't sell anyone. When people come in, I'm just like, bro, you can try it. If you like
Yeah.
it, it's all good. I'm like, I'm gonna be here every night. I don't do any pitch. I don't do any contract. I don't lock
I
anyone
mean, it
into
gets hard.
anything.
You try
I
to
don't-
explain it to the person a million. How many people have you tried already to explain how
So-
awesome jiu-jitsu is, and they just never come back, or just like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, but so I decided not to make
Why even
jiu-jitsu
come
my
here?
lifestyle, my income, right?
Right.
Because
We've
when
had
I
this
did for a
conversation,
few
yeah.
years, it made me want to quit jiu-jitsu. Like I was like, fuck jiu-jitsu, man. I was just like, fuck these people. Fuck. I get mad at people because when you're counting on that dollar to come in, and then I don't get to enjoy when I go to the school. You know, I go to the school and it became business, and I'm like, man, I got to find a way. So my school became my home. I have an 8 to 5 job where I just sit at home and do, and then at night I go down and do jiu-jitsu, and if people want to train with me, they're welcome to, right? Like that's kind of how I do it now, and I'm just like, that's cool with me. That now I get
the
to enjoy it
extra.
again. Like now it's It became fun again.
I feel the same way about making knives. I'll sell someone a knife. They're like, man, why don't you do this full time? Because
I wouldn't enjoy it.
then it would be a job, and I would have to be making knives 8 hours a day. And
Speaking of making knives,
jobs
how can I
aren't
lock
fun.
you into making me one?
Just hit me up in class or on Facebook, or come over and see the shop.
Yeah, you got a shop.
Well, it's my garage.
Yeah.
You can come over and make one if you want.
All right.
Take 2 weekends probably.
Okay.
I'd
Like
love
two-
to have
two
a
Fridays
sword,
or two
like
Saturdays.
Super sharp.
Could you make a samurai sword? Are you like, you know how to make like legit samurai?
Where can we get a good?
Because they like
samurai
fold that
sword?
steel
I need
over
something
again and
that can,
again and
like,
again.
There was a show on
man,
Discovery of
And that
big swords.
and that's all. The art of making a Japanese sword, I think, is amazing. But modern steel, modern purchased steel, is going to be hands down better than anything you fold that many times.
It is? So modern
Yeah.
steel outdoes the, like, because I
Yeah,
always thought that
it's-
was like
'cause it's
mystical.
No, modern steel is just exactly, you're buying exactly what you're paying for.
What about like mystical steels?
What's
Like
a,
what?
Yeah, what's
there's
a
there's a
mystical
few
You know, like
different
the-
types.
Like like
So
He-Man's
the
sword.
oldest steel is going to be Japanese Tamagotchi white, which is just folded and folded. They literally put iron ore in a huge clay furnace and melt it down, and they literally get nuggets that they smash together.
Wow.
They keep smashing nuggets together until they have a billet, and then that's when they start folding. And what they're doing when they're folding and doing that, because that is literally an iron ore that they melted the iron out of, they're actually smashing the impurities out of it. So when you see them smack it and stuff flies out the sides of the cake or the billet, that's impurities and slag and nastiness being. They're actually taking shit steel and beating it into good steel. And they have to use they use pine charcoal because it is high in carbon content. So as they're heating it, they're pushing carbon into the steel.
isn't it amazing?
And as they're whacking it, they're pushing crap out of the steel.
so it's like a white belt, and as you fold it and fold it,
It's
and
like
fold it,
a lot of
you
people say
smack
you
out the shit,
you smack all the
turns
shit
it-
out of it.
turns
keep
into,
folding
uh,
it,
Isn't it
keep
amazing
folding
that they figured that out that
how
long
they
ago?
figured that out
Like,
is
how
a
the
complete
fuck?
mystery.
Yeah.
Everybody says, well, how did they, in the heat treating process and all that, like, well, how did they know back then? It probably in the beginning literally was what
aliens. They shouldn't know.
could have been ancient alien intervention, but it probably was mystical for a long time.
Yeah.
And they just knew. No one knows how they figured out how to heat treat
All right.
steel.
Just like no one knows how.
But yeah, modern steel is hands down. You know.
I didn't know that. I thought like a Japanese sword from like 2,000 years ago or whatever would like defeat anything. I thought it would just like
Anything
chop other swords in half. I thought it was like some mystical
It
shit.
would chop most swords in half.
Was
That's
this
the
before
problem.
the
is
gun or
most-
after the
most
gun?
Steel, most knives out there are crap steel. Like if you want good steel.
So
you-
what's the name of the modern steel that's good? Like if you were gonna
titanium
buy a
or-
badass sword today, what would you be looking for? If you were looking for like a modern sword, what would it
a
say?
modern samurai sword?
Yeah, like what would that steel be? Would it be T304? Would it be?
No, it'd be Japanese white.
It'd be called Japanese white.
Yeah,
That's
it'd
like
be
the
some
good shit.
Japanese blue if it was a cheaper.
How much does a normal samurai sword run?
Oh, I don't know. I've never bought
10
one.
grand, something like
And
that.
if you get a custom made one, I really don't know. I've never priced a samurai sword.
You see that guy on fucking YouTube that makes those insane fucking big ass.
That's what I was
swords?
saying. That's what I
You
was
should
talking
do
about.
that.
I met a guy who
too
makes.
big.
He had a show that went on to like either History Channel or
What are you gonna
Discovery.
do with that? You need to attach that to a robot.
He could barely wield it. He'd be like,
Oh, yeah.
it's falling.
I've seen that guy. Yeah,
it was-
I'm more into making functional things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All
awesome.
right, so we're gonna go off for a second here, and my question to you is this. Here's a question I try to remember to ask everyone. So, and I think it allows people to know you in ways that we know you, right? That they otherwise wouldn't. Allows them to make a connection, which is, what non-mainstream beliefs do you have? In other words, are there any things that you believe that you think most people don't believe? I'll give you an example. I think 9/11 was an inside job. Do you subscribe to anything non-mainstream, or are you pretty much mainstream on everything? You know, do you have any strong beliefs that's against the mainstream narrative?
Well, I mean, that's a tough one because the only way you're certain about something is if you have proof, you know what I mean? And I mean, there's a lot of proof about a lot of things, you know, and same thing, like, it's just really tough, but I know that, like, growing up, I've always noticed something weird, you know what I mean? Like, just kind of like, I've always asked myself, well, who's in charge, you know? Because I've kept hearing people say, oh, we got money problems. The country's got money problems. And I was like, well, who's in charge of making the money? Well, you know what I mean? Why don't they just make more money? And then,
Yeah,
this was growing. This was like,
Right.
as a little kid, I was like, why can't they just make more money, you know? And then my mom was like, it's going to mess everything up. But, I mean, yeah, going back to, like, the time that we are right now, you know, I believe that, like, something weird's going to happen in our time frame, you know, that we're not going to expect. Same thing that happened on 9/11. We never expected that, you know what I mean? Who would expect planes flying into buildings, you know, and just killing everybody?
I think every generation has, you know.
Yeah, I mean, every generation does,
Just
but
keeps
compared to like
happening over and
where we're like, we used to be like, back then, in the old times, people didn't even have weapons. The king would have the only one with a sword, you know what I mean? And they'd have like shed tools. And then we move on to where people started getting the bow and arrow, you know what I mean? Then from there, everybody had swords, you know? And then the gun was, you know, made. And then now we got nuclear bomb that'll like destroy the world, you know? And then we got this new space force, which people think.
Sign me up.
I feel like people think that this whole space force is one thing, but it's really something else. That it's just like, it's really something else. You know, that if you take a deeper look into it, you'll understand what it is. You know,
Oh,
what
it's
I mean?
something else.
Why the heck would
It's
they
something
say
else, all right.
There's no
space force? Literally, the force of space. What, do you think they're gonna put robots up there? No. Like, you gotta be careful. They may have a laser beam. They may, just like in that movie, the freaking laser beams. You know, who says they don't have that? You know, there's stuff that they have. Like, I'll never forget when I was in middle school. The teacher asked everybody to say what their parents did, and this one kid, I'll never forget. He said, "I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say what my dad does." And they were like, "Why?" And they were like, "Oh, because my dad works for the government." And everybody was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm not allowed to say, not at all." And that was that, you know. So I believe that in our lifetime, we're still gonna see
Who is your daddy and what does he
some
do?
crazy stuff, because the
Kindergarten
way the
cop,
world is
sorry.
going, you know, it's going to a dark place. It's going to a dark place. That's my phone.
It's not a tumor.
But yeah, I believe that we're gonna see some crazy stuff in
So
our
you think
lifetime,
we-
and you should be ready, because if you're not
You think
ready,
it's coming?
I think a lot of things are gonna happen, and if you're not ready, you know, bad things can happen. Don't be the type of person that gets influenced by, okay, everybody starts running, you start running. No, the same thing when they had that Pokemon game, when you had to follow around with your phone and try to capture the Pokemon.
I did not.
Everybody
I didn't
just
do that.
going nuts.
Yeah,
Walking off the
You know,
edge of
they
the
make.
docks.
Whoa.
You know what pissed me off is
They're
I did
controlling
not
you.
do that. That's hilarious.
Being controlled.
they made my school a charging station. So
What?
people were sitting out in my parking lot at 1 and 2 a.m. Like they were
Charging your Pokemon?
constantly It pissed me off, because I'm like, man, people are throwing drinks out, cigarettes. It started making my parking lot littered. Right?
Yeah.
Like it really pissed me
just
off.
imagine they come out with a technology like that. Just wave your phone up and you'll find help. And that just leads everybody to a spot where something bad can happen, or they just control everybody. Like,
Oh, they were doing that.
like what you guys should understand is that, like, everything has a meaning, everything. And when Hollywood makes these movies, even mainly not these movies now, well, maybe, but the old movies,
Like
there are
Stanley Kubrick.
I'm
so
starting to
much
see-
stuff. Like, if you
Yeah.
don't pay attention to what the
I'm starting
movies
to
say,
see
because
hidden
the
meanings
movies, the movies is a
every
gamble,
movie
and
now.
who runs the movies? And if you look deep into it, the people that are at the top of the triangle, they say they want to end it. You know what I mean? So they're giving you hints.
I was watching Ant Bully
wink.
last night with my daughter. I'm like, oh shit! Like, I'm watching the dude that sprays the whatever you call him, the exterminator. He had a red suit on, and his name was Beelzebub. Beelzebub, right?
Yeah.
And,
I remember
yeah, and then
seeing that the first time.
and then I'm like, and then I say, oh, dude, the devil. It's another name
Beetle
for the devil.
is like
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
And he's trying to
like
get
the
this kid
saw
to
that on
sign a
somebody's
contract, and he
license
like
plate
tricks
one
him into a
time.
contract, and then you see the
Yeah.
dude's mom, and the mom has a spaceship on her shirt, and it has the stars and the moon, and I'm like, dude, there was some really, and I was like, dude, I gotta watch the rest of this, like, but now I'm looking, and then I started watching The Watchers. Well, a few days ago, I watched The Watchers, and I'm like, oh my God, this all happened under Nixon, and they keep on showing the full moon constantly. It's in every background image, and then you start paying attention to this shit. The owl, which is used by the Illuminati, the owl, that's the face, the primary face that you see.
Yeah, well, people go
face
like,
of the moon
you go
that
to, like,
never looks away.
And then the name of
big owl.
and then the dude Ramses, that dude, whatever his name is, his thing is the triangle, the main enemy, right?
Yeah.
And he represents Ramses, and then it just goes there. Like no one has put together this plot, but I think there is. I think the guy who did The Watchers did the same thing as Stanley Kubrick did with The Shining. I think there's a very deep hidden message there. And then when you watch Toy Story, you see, oh shit, there's a connection there. Room 237, the same carpet used in The Shining.
What?
Oh yeah,
What do you mean?
Toy Story.
Toy Story links back to The Shining. They're trying to tell you
distance of
something
the
as
moon.
well.
Well, like, yeah, the movies, they are trying to tell you something. And I mean, why would they? It's just, it falls back to what people believe and what they don't believe.
Well, okay, so
You gotta have faith
One
either
day
way.
you'll
You
know.
can't prove either way.
One day you will know.
you can't prove, but what you can do is actually research it.
Oh, of
For
course.
one, like
Yeah.
99% of people have done no research
No,
and they have
they're just
opinion. They're
arguing.
just like, bro, I read in the books in elementary school that we went to the moon, and it's like. All right. Did you also read that we went to war with Vietnam because they attacked us? Did you read that they attacked us
Yeah.
at Pearl Harbor? Did you read that?
that was
Did you
Japan.
read that our government proposed a fake attack on us from Cuba? Did you read? It's like.
It's a lot of
Do you know how many
things.
things they will lie about? And the bigger the secret, the more money they make. Do you realize that? You do realize that, right? Like if you controlled the secret of space or the lack thereof, the amount of money you could capitalize on is in the vicinity of, last I saw, $300 billion a year as a global space economy right now, $300 billion. So, we're gonna go there for about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
for 2 or 3 minutes. We got to go there because
timer started.
because
Yeah, run.
because people know that. First off, I want to clarify something. It bothered me. I kind of got upset with someone because they called me a flat earther, and I'm like, motherfucker.
Whoa, who did that?
Some dude called me a flat earther. Anyway, listen,
Labeling.
I'm not,
Labeling.
and I was kind of offended, man. I was like, man, I'm open-minded. I'm just a researcher. The difference between you and me, you call me a flat earther, I guarantee you, hands down, I know more about the galaxy and the space program than you do. Like guaranteed, hands down.
I mean, if
there's
the
no
person
comparison.
believes
So
the
how are
world
you going to
is
insult me?
flat,
Like
like, come on, buddy. Like,
I don't
that's
know if
just
flat
like,
earther's an insult. though.
quit trying to
It
walk
is an
through the
insult.
wall.
It is an insult.
It's an insult
It's-
from the other side.
But do you believe the world is flat?
I'm super open-minded to it. Like I believe.
Henry's like woke
Hold
right
on.
now.
Come
on!
If you
Oh,
ask
Henry, you
me,
didn't know?
if you're asking me for my belief, my honest belief, I'm leaning towards, and I know people are gonna label me now. I'm not saying it is definitively, but I'm leaning towards it. My belief right now, if I had to say, a belief is leaning to one side or another, right? I'd say I believe the Earth is flat.
All right, I know how we can fix this problem. We just build a rocket, put a camera on it, and shoot that son of a gun as high as you can. And
You'd
you
think
will
it'd be
see-
done, right? Like
You
that's
will
the irony.
see that the world is round.
Wouldn't you think that's been done? Like by
It's
now.
been
Do it
done.
yourself.
It's been done.
Buy your own GoPro. Put a GoPro on the
It's
camera.
been
People have.
done.
It's been done.
People have again and again and again. And you know what they see?
How far has
Fish
they
eye.
gone up?
240,000 feet. Do you know what they see?
That's not far.
That's as far as we can go with an amateur rocket today. That's the farthest in the world.
240,000 feet?
Yeah, there's 500
far.
feet or something in a mile.
What
That's
about
pretty
those
fucking far.
balloons?
It's like 100 miles, whatever it is.
5,280
I mean-
feet in a mile.
Yeah. So look, there's that's crazy high.
What about
up.
the moon? Why is the moon not flat?
moon? Is if you ask me, I say the moon
It
is
looks
flat.
round to
flat.
me every time I
Yeah,
look
a
at it.
disc
looks like
is
a-
round.
it looks like a
Disc is
circle.
round.
Oh, so we have a flat round?
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
this all the
How?
time?
Why have you never seen the back side of the moon?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't spin.
because-
It doesn't spin.
How do you know it
Doesn't
doesn't
spin.
spin?
It doesn't.
Oh,
It
doesn't
just locks
spin.
on
Science
us.
tells you it's
How
in a
do you
fixed
know it
orbit.
doesn't
Science-
spin?
It's
It's
just
a fixed
spin.
orbit. It can never do
Yeah,
anything.
it
but
never
chase
moves.
us.
Well, then I guess
We're always looking
I
at the
guess
same
the
spot.
moon doesn't spin; it just floats there. That's why it's like a dead
locked.
rock.
Yeah,
It's locked.
It's locked with us.
It
Oh,
does
yeah.
not moon. You always see the same side. You always see the exact picture of the moon at all times. Did you know?
What if
Did
it's
you know
just a
if you look at the
projection
stars
on
of
the
Earth?
I love that Henry's getting.
We have what's called a
right
pole
now.
star. Hold on, let me explain a few
Wait,
things.
wait, 'cause
We're
I
gonna
gotta
take a
roll.
minute.
I gotta
'cause
roll
Henry-
too. I still got a lot of things to do. It's 1:33.
Hold on. we're just gonna go down this road for a minute because there may be some things you don't know.
We got 5 minutes
did you
left,
know,
guys.
Did you know that above us we have this North Star, this pole star,
Yeah.
and all the stars in the galaxy just rotate like a record around that star. We basically, if you look up, we look like the center of the galaxy to us.
Okay, so you're talking about that one star
No, I'm talking about all stars. All stars
rotate
if
around
you
us
look,
or the one star?
all stars rotate around us. All.
All the stars rotate around us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you sure that we're not spinning?
You can. Okay, this is where you can
'Cause the
interpret
stars-
it either way.
The stars
You can
are
interpret it either way.
burning.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Yeah,
fireballs,
let me
moving
ask you.
at
Well, that's
super
what we're
We're
taught.
spinning.
That's what we're taught. But let me ask you this now. Now let me ask you. So imagine what. Let's say the top of our Earth is here, right in front of me, and the North Star is here, and you see all the stars spinning like this, all of them for thousands of years, all of them, and the constellations never change. It basically looks like a map that just goes like this for thousands of years. It's like just a map spinning. Now they tell us that the sun is barreling through the galaxy. The galaxy is going out in 360 degrees of, or actually more, because 360 would be one plane. It's exploding in all directions. We're going like this. The sun, the Earth is going like this around the sun, and while that hurls to the galaxy, and you think that can happen, yet right at the top of our planet can be one star that never moves, and all the other stars go like this, perfectly like a record. But
So you want to know how that is possible?
it's not possible, in my opinion. I don't think that's possible.
So how's it happening?
We're the center of the galaxy.
All right.
We're the center.
This is where it gets real deep, everybody. The
Okay.
galaxy, it's huge. It's ridiculous huge.
I know how
And
big it is.
how
I
big is
actually
it?
researched these. Do you know? I know how far the nearest star is.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
check
know what
this out,
star
though.
it
Check
is.
this out. How was that measured? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I can tell you how
there's
it was
a-
measured. It's
everything-
measured in astronomical units, AUs.
yeah, but like, I'm pretty sure there's way more than that. But the point is, like, out of all of that, we're Earth, the planet that has water, oxygen, green,
The only one.
the only one. And
Kind of like the center of the galaxy.
if you think that all of this just happened out of like a big bang, just like bang, it's here.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
where did the bang come from?
You're making my argument.
Where did the
Keep
bang
going.
come
Yeah.
from? Where did
Keep
the
go-
bang?
keep going.
Where
Keep
did the
going.
bang come
Keep
from?
going.
Where did the bang come from?
Keep going. Yeah, I like where you're going.
Okay,
I like it. I like it.
After
you
the
don't
bang.
know where the bang came from. So why does it have to be a bang?
I don't know.
Boom!
I agree
gotta
with
We
you
have
100%.
galaxy.
Come on.
Nah.
We're Homo sapiens.
the
It's got to be
truth-
big
the-
and it's got to
the
be
truth-
a bang.
the
That's
truth-
how we do things.
The truth is, at the time that we are in life now, we can only live so many years. Okay,
right.
before we were able to live hundreds, maybe not thousands of years. There's people there. There's a bit.
What? Wait.
Yeah, back in like
Yeah.
1200
Someone lived 800
BC,
years, right?
all that. People
They
can
used to
live lots of
800
years. We even
people
had
lived 800
giants.
years?
Yeah,
you know what I
biblical
mean?
times, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Or time past it.
I've never read the Bible, so.
yeah, well, Goliath had giant. I mean, it's just it goes back a lot. So the point is, like, you know, the galaxy, the Big Bang. One day, like, okay, we have our lifespan on Earth. It's, you know, a couple of years. It's a couple now compared to what people used to live. People used to be able to live 300 years, 400 years. You know what I mean?
How far can you go back? I'm throwing you off your loop. I'm sorry.
As far as you want.
No,
Maybe.
how far
Adam
can you,
and
like
Eve
your
times.
No, I'm talking about you. Your grandparents.
Oh, your-
past your grandparents, like your lineage.
Your ancestry.
Your ancestry. How far can you go back?
I don't know, man. I just know I got
I'm
my
just
grandpa.
curious.
I got my grandpa.
I can't
got
go past my
grandpa before
grandfather.
that.
I can't go past my grandfather.
I got a
It
lot, but
sucks.
the big key over here is we all live a certain age. We all have, from the time we're born, 1 year old up until, so let's say up until 18. That time right there is the time that, like, you will learn so much. I'm talking about you will learn so much, and you will not have that much power to do much. You know what I mean? After that, you're still learning a lot, but you have more power and you have more. You're more able to make more decisions. You know
I think
what I mean?
0 to 18.
Let's
you don't-
test
you
your
don't
let's
know
test
shit.
your let's test your religion real quick. Let's
Back to religion.
Yeah, we
Hold
are.
on, wait, hold on. We're
wait,
gonna
wait,
get to a
wait.
point before
You
we
just
wrap
said
this
something.
up.
Let
We're gonna
Brendan-
get to a
let
point
Brendan
before we
finish.
wrap
You
this up.
just said 0 to 18, right? Not to 18. I love how the British like.
I didn't start learning until 40.
I was gonna say I think
One-
zero.
one
I think
to
0 to
18,
18, 1 to 18. I don't think you know shit. Like I think my daughter, my oldest daughter's an idiot. I love her to death.
Yeah,
but
but
at
check
18
this-
years old, she doesn't know what the fuck she's getting herself into.
Yeah, that's why I said from 18 on, you also
You're
learn a lot.
indoctrinated.
But from 1 to 18,
You're definitely indoctrinated.
From 1 to
School
18,
system.
you learn how to walk, you learn how to talk, you learn how to eat, you learn how to
The
wipe,
basics
you learn how
to
you learn-
function in a controlled society.
Okay, and if
Right?
in that 1 to 18 you are in a bad environment and you're not raised right, you will become a type of person that you will not be able to live in that environment. That's why that 1 to 18 is such an important role in your life, because if you're raised by an abusive dad, you're going to be one type of person. If you're raised by a rapist dad, you're going to be another type of person. If your parents are dead, you're going to be another type of person. You know?
Chimpanzees do the
so
same
1
thing.
to 18 is a point in your
Smaller
life
scale.
where that determines a lot about this. But the point is this, okay, so we're past 18, we've had lots of life experiences. Even if we haven't, we're gonna have lots of life experiences. Okay, there's a lot of people that don't even make it to 18. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
sorry, there's a lot of people that don't even make it to 20.
Bro, boys in
Point
the
is,
hood.
when you die, something will happen. Okay, something will happen.
What happens
because
after you
before
die?
you were born, you don't remember absolutely nothing. Literally, you don't remember nothing. Absolutely
Some do.
nothing. It's like, what's the earliest memory you have? Maybe when you're like 5, 3, okay? But you don't remember. Your mom knows that you weren't born. Your mom knows that you didn't exist. You're a huge. You're a sperm that has transformed into a human. You're huge. You know what I mean? Look at you. Before that, you was in your parents, and then before that, it just kept going on. So you can't really remember what happens before that. But up until now, you can remember a lot that has happened since you have been born. You know. So my point is this.
Okay.
You now die, okay? You now crash your car out of the blue. Literally, you're backing up out of the driveway. You pull out. You forget to look to the left. Boom! You
Lights
get
out.
smashed.
All right.
Okay, so what happens next? This is where it gets real interesting, and you have to be very open-minded. Okay.
I can tell you.
Because if you're not open-minded,
Okay.
I want to know.
wait, hold on. Before we end
ahead.
this, if you're not open-minded, you won't be able to see what I'm trying to say, okay? Because I'm pretty sure we have all been wrong. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure we have all really thought something, and then we get there and we're like, whoa. Oh my gosh, I am completely
Yeah.
wrong. I am like so wrong that like I thought that was blue and it's actually yellow.
You sound like
know
a
what I mean?
Glober right now. Go
Or is
ahead.
it- okay, so like we've all been wrong before, you know what I mean? We've all been like, what? I don't want to ask everybody like what we've been wrong about, but just you know that you have been through
I
a
don't
point in
care
your
if you
life
ask
where
me.
you thought something really hard,
Yeah.
and then you've been shocked. I mean, shocked to a point
Yeah.
where you just changed the way
Yeah.
you believed in that.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. You just died, right?
Yeah.
You open your eyes. Well, let's say you just died and went black, right? Like you're sleeping, and you start opening your eyes, and
You're in a crib.
not in the crib, but let's say you're in just like you're in a room. I don't know. I can't tell you what's gonna happen. I don't know anything. I'm just giving you an example, and I want you to be open-minded and just imagine yourself right now. You're in this white room, and you're just like, where the heck am I? And there's a door, and the door opens.
White's gotta be white.
And a man, well, I mean, I'm just saying, it could be
He's-
whatever.
he's assuming he did everything right.
It could be whatever color, but like we're in a room right now, we got red and black. Why couldn't this room be white? You know,
I think we'd know how. Yeah.
So,
it was
okay.
white, but it was
Know
so
how-
loud. in
Okay,
here.
but check this
Yeah,
out.
but-
So
Yeah, put a
you're
little
in
black,
this room,
little red.
and you're like, where am I? And let's say you're naked right now. You're naked in this room. You're like, okay, last thing I can
By
remember.
myself?
You're by yourself.
Nobody's
you're
looking.
like, last thing I can remember,
Okay.
I was driving my car, and I was leaving jiu-jitsu. Where am I? You know what I mean? And you're naked. So you're probably thinking you're at a hospital or something. You know what I mean? So there's a door right there. It's a white door, and the door opens, and a man comes in. And it's a man with long hair, you know? And you look at this man, and you're like, are you serious? Is that Jesus? Nah. And like you're now seeing the person that you've heard about your whole entire life. You know what I mean?
Why
And-
can't he have an afro?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm just giving you an example, and I need you
Okay.
to be open-minded and
Okay.
just kind of visualize this.
I'm
for a second.
visualizing
Just
it.
visualize this. So it's Jesus, literally. Just it could be anybody, but I'm telling you that right now, at this moment, if you picture what I'm telling you, you will be able to see what I'm telling you. You picture Jesus. He's got long hair. He's got beautiful white clothes on, and he walks in, and he's like, hey, Robert, how you doing? And you're like,
Who are you?
I'm good. Are you who I think you are? And you're like, yeah, Jesus, And you're like, whoa, where am I? What happened? And are you sure you're Jesus? And he's like, and I mean, in this moment, you're feeling like you're feeling probably the best you felt in your whole entire life ever. You're feeling just like no problems, no pain, no nothing. You're feeling joy. And you're like, whoa, man, it's Jesus. And Jesus is like, yeah, it's me. What do you have to say? And you're like, I don't know. What happened? And then he's like, all right, I'll show you real quick. And then out of the blue, it's like, boom. You see yourself backing out of the driveway. And this is like a third camera right here. You see yourself backing out and out of the sun. Boom, you get smacked with the car. And he's like, that's what happened to you.
All right.
That's what happened to you. And then you're like, whoa. Just the fact that he was able to make all of this an image of a movie for you, like not a screen, but just like you're there, you're almost like you're floating above that. And you're telling yourself, wow, oh my gosh, I'm starting to believe, like, this is crazy. And then Jesus looks at you and he's like, yeah, so who do you think I am now? You know what I mean? Literally, he's like, who do you think I am? Because you've heard so many things about me your whole entire life. You've heard that I've been this, you've heard that I've been that, you've heard this. And all I've done for you so far is I've helped you. You know what I mean? And then he starts saying like this, look at this, remember this time right here? When you literally almost could not pay your bill. And out of the blue, you went to go check your mail and there was that check in there that was from something else. Well, guess what? That lady was not about to do that, you know what I mean? And she felt something good in her heart to do that for you, you know what I mean? I don't know why I'm using this lady in check, but I'm just using it as an example. So God's like, look, I helped you here. I also helped you here when you fell down and you could have broken a leg, but I didn't let that happen. Bunch of times. And he's like, do you believe who I am now? And you're like, yeah, I kind of do, but I just don't get how you're God, you know? And he's like, well, look, I'm more than God, you know? I'm the Holy Spirit. I'm that air around you. That's why they say I'm around you the whole entire time, you know what I mean? And he's like, I'm also Jesus. I came to earth to show you guys who I am and what I've done, and I'm an example. If you can follow what I did and try to be like how I was on earth, you're gonna be like successful. So he tells you your whole entire life you've been against something that only means the right way, because I'm pretty sure that like people, I don't know why people think Christianity is so like because you're just doing right, you know, like you're helping one another, you're doing this, you know. So Jesus is like now, like he's like, all right, Robert,
wait, you're going off. Don't.
So wait,
don't
no, hold on,
man, because
so
my
wait,
rebuttal.
wait.
I
So
still have my rebuttal.
look. So Jesus is like, all right, Robert, I've done helped you a lot of times, but
So you killed Robert.
wait,
in the
no.
story.
Listen, just listen. We're being
You get a
open-minded
20-minute
right now.
rebuttal.
Hold
Go
on,
ahead.
come on.
20 minutes.
So Jesus is like, all right, Robert, you're here now. Let me show you something else. So he takes you outside of that door, and literally you're on this like golden path, and there's these golden gates, and you see a bunch of people in there that are like just having the best time of their life. They're like, woo, Robert, come on, buddy, come on, this is heaven, dude. You're like, whoa, heaven exists, and I mean, you feel like the most awesome ever. And Jesus tells you, all right, so that's heaven right there. That's my home. And the rules for you to go in there, as I stated many times before in your life, you know what I mean? As I've told you many times. And if you have not heard me state that you need to follow the path and do right and believe that I came to earth and died for your sins, then that day Henry told you is a perfect day for you to remember that you was told. You know what I mean? So, and then he says like this, okay, so you know the rules, and I've given you many chances, and now we're here. What should I do? Because I've helped you so many times, and you kept just saying, all right. It's like that friend that you ask for help so many times and you never help him back, you know what I mean? And he's like, why should I let you in here? I've given you so many chances, and all you've done to me is just shut me down. Why should I let you into the place that has forever life, you know? And you're like, man, you're right. And then he's like, do you want me to show you how many times you have let me down? how many, you know what I mean? Because when you look at a sin, there's no level like, oh, that sin is better than this. It's all the same. It don't matter what you do. That's why you have to literally like, it's deep, and I can't make you believe. You have to believe this on your own. Like, life will mold you, but all I'm telling you is just do good. Jiu-Jitsu helps me do good. God helps me do good. But the biggest question now is this. You're here, you're in front of gates of heaven, and God's like, I'm sorry. I cannot let you in because I have given you so many chances to prove yourself. And he says, look, I will, he's like, it was because of me that you are born today. You know what I mean? It's because of me. I've given you chances. You've been on the right path so many times, but unfortunately you weren't able to sustain that right path. And after so many signs I've given you, even after that time I told Henry to tell you about me, you still continued, you know? And you're like, yeah, I know. So he's like, all right, I'm sorry. This is where we say go. And you start falling. You start falling away from it, and you're like, oh, everybody knows what the feeling of falling is. You start falling, and let's say you just land like smack dab on some rocks. You just land on some rocks, and then the most beautiful woman that you thought was the most beautiful woman of your life walks up to you, and she's like, get up, honey. What are you doing? And you get up, you're like, what? And that person just turns into like, you're in hell, you know, like you start seeing fire everywhere. I've never been to hell, thank God, and I hope, you know, that I'll never go. And one day I got into a bad car accident. I broke my pelvis in 4 places. I was ejected from the vehicle while the vehicle was rolling. I thought I was gonna die on the side of the road that day, literally. Like, my body felt like the most numbest way possible. And that day, when they put me in the ambulance, I asked God, I said, please help me, help me, help me. I passed out. I woke up in the hospital. And I swear to you, my friend, I swear to you, they gave me 6 hours, no pain meds, just kept flipping me around, taking x-rays. I'm pretty sure that what happened to me on that day of the accident was way worse than what they diagnosed at the hospital. Because the paramedics pronounced me paralyzed at the scene of the accident. They rubbed my feet, they couldn't, they were like, it was just bad. So to have a broken pelvis in 4 places, I have a screw inside of me, that was a super life-changing experience, you know what I mean? And when I was in the hospital, they were loading me up with meds, morphine, everything, and I was just like, the pain was so much. And I'll never forget this night, ever. This night right here, I would tell this night for the rest of my life. It was the most craziest night of my life. I was so loaded up on meds, man, that I was having these crazy dreams. First dream I had was I was on a helicopter. I fell out of the helicopter. I landed smack on the ground, and I looked up like, oh my gosh, what the heck? The helicopter just like, and then the following night I had another dream, and this dream was the dream that literally links everything together.
Okay.
So this is where you have to be the most open-minded possible. And like I said, it's not my job to make you believe anything. You do you know, I'm just giving you my life experience. I had a hallucination, man. I woke up, I was in the bed, I opened my eyes, and I'm in the hospital where I was, you know, and the roof started catching on fire, and it started just getting peeled back. I mean, just imagine a roof getting peeled back in fire, and it was black, and the whole room started catching on fire. I looked at my hands, and my hands was skeleton, like bone, and I had this, it was just, what made me feel like I was so there was just, I would squeeze my hand and I felt like I could break my own hand with the strength I had. And it was just bone, and it was just agony, and I started going crazy, like, oh my gosh, help. The first thing I did was I grabbed the Bible that was next to my bed, and I'll never forget, I just opened the Bible. I just opened the Bible, and I looked into the Bible, and the first thing that I could read was guide me through the valley of death. That was the first thing I could read, and once I started reading that, it started just going away, you know, and the machine next to me was just like, I think my heartbeat was like close to 150, something like that. It was just going nuts. The doctor comes sliding in like Tom Cruise slides on that scene, you know. What's going on? I was like, I'm having a hallucination, help. Oh. And like, it was just crazy. I was reading that, it was just nuts. So that right there was a crazy experience, you know, and it was a message like, look at what happened to you right now. You're in the hospital. You flipped the car. You overcorrected. You didn't have your seatbelt on. You got thrown out of the vehicle. You know what I mean? Look what could happen to you and where you could have been. That's the message I received. You could have been somewhere else right now. meaning you could be dead. And because where you are in your life, the path that you are taking, which was not good because the day before that I went to the club and I was drinking, partying. The path that you were taking, that's where you would have gone. You know what I mean? So that was like a very like awakening moment in my life. You know, I was what, 20? It happened in October 16th, 2010. Never forget that. And from that moment on, I've always just tried to like think different. You know, and like I said, I believe in God, Jesus one way. That's me. I don't expect nobody. It's up to y'all to believe.
We got you to say it.
Yep, you got me to say it. Like I said,
hey.
I don't care what you think, but this is me.
I believe in God
you have
too,
your
bro.
own
This-
belief.
it's-
If you
I think
don't,
that's cool.
If you don't, if you haven't had a spiritual experience yet, I don't know if it will, but who knows? Why be wrong? Why wait till you die? Why? Like you have so many chances to live. Why be wrong? All you have to do is just follow the right path. The right path is what? Believe, treat each other as well. Like it's not that hard, but like I said, I don't have to make you guys believe.
No. All right.
You
So
know.
rebuttal, or not rebuttal,
Let's see
but
the comeback.
No, it's not a
It's not
comeback.
a
He
comeback.
can be
It's not
agreeing.
comeback.
Or
with
his-
I can be
his-
agreeing.
okay, his opinion, his opinion.
So, Andre, Mr. Henry, you lost me because at one moment we're talking about Bobby backing out of a Robert. Is he
Okay.
backing out of a driveway and getting hit, smack, boom, and he was in a good place, right? And then you went on to talk about something that happened to you. All right. So gosh, man, I'm lost kind of, but I will tell you,
Yeah.
I'll just jump on the bandwagon, right? And I'll just tell you where I come from, right? So, I'll show that.
Motorcycle wreck.
Okay.
Okay, I've lost lots of friends to motorcycle wreck. I used to race dirt bikes. I've almost died on them. I have my own personal story, so.
April 4th, 2009. I'm coming up on 10 years.
Okay, nice.
All right.
It's a good lesson.
Life flight out to Gainesville, UF.
Yeah, we have a friend named Kenny. He lost his leg.
That's my buddy Zach, 23. He died on the scene.
Ooh, he was on the back of the bike with you?
He was on his bike.
Sorry to hear that.
All right.
man.
So you went out. Yeah, I know. All right. And but it was a life lesson that I learned, and from that day. After that, like I just learned to appreciate stuff a lot more. But that wreck, it was lights out. I hit the back of his bike. He wasn't on it. He hit a guardrail because he bumped into another car, hit him in a guardrail, took his leg off. He bled out on the scene from his femoral, right? And then I ran in the back of his bike, ejected me. I slid on the pavement for a little while, and then I ended up in a ditch face down. Would have drowned if it wouldn't been for someone, guardian angel, pulled me out, right?
Do you remember that
I
person?
don't know who that person is.
You don't know who that
this
person
day,
is. You've
no.
never seen that person, but
No.
miraculously you
Yes.
overturned because you were on the puddle.
Right. And I got ambulance to Baptist, and they life flighted me out to Gainesville, 3 weeks, a couple surgeries. But more like, dude, it was blackout. There was nothing for me after that. But what I did wake up with, what I did learn from the experience, is to appreciate life, to treat people with respect, to understand where people
Could you
come
say
from.
you was on one path and now you're on a different path? Were you running your life one way, now you're running it different?
Yes. Definitely. I didn't care back then, right?
Yeah,
Nothing. I was
exactly. Me neither.
impervious. I was man of steel, right? Nothing that can hurt me.
Me neither.
It's not. It's,
Lost my brother. I was kind of like, fuck it all. Don't care about nothing.
I don't give a shit. Like, it's about me and my kids. Like, as long as you mess with my kids, and we're gonna have a problem. Other than that, I can care less. But then I was enjoying life, But but what I've learned, and you say Jesus, I didn't see Jesus.
Well-
I didn't experience that. But what I kind of do
You got a
believe in
second
is
chance.
spiritual, right? I got a second chance, a spiritual feeling, a deep belief that you treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah, and to this day,
right?
you still don't know who flipped you over or what it was.
I don't, right?
So,
And there's miracles. There's miracles all around, all the time.
Yep.
I remember a post it was February 6th. I just woke up in a great mood. I want to say it was this year. I woke up in a great mood, and I like reggae music. And I started singing Bob Marley, Three Little Birds, right?
Don't
I was just
worry
right,
about a thing, because
Three Little
everything's
Birds,
going to be
right.
all right.
Sit on my doorstep. I posted that song lyrics just because I post random shit on Facebook. And then later that day, I was having lunch, and the reminder came up. the Facebook reminders, I had posted that same song lyric 4 or 5 years earlier that same day.
That you crashed.
Not the
Oh,
day
no,
that
the
I
day-
crashed.
the
I
day-
went off
the
on the
day-
tangent.
the day- oh, the
But the
day
same
that-
thing.
the day
The
that
same
you-
thing.
okay, I
Like,
get it.
I
The
was
day that
just
you
talking about
posted
miracles. I
five-
was just talking
okay,
about
I get
miracles
it.
that happen, man.
Yeah, man.
And it was just a trip to me, you know, because that's like, yeah, it's one of my favorite songs that Bob Marley sings, right? And it means something to me because 3 little birds, me
Yeah.
and my two daughters. Anyway, but but all I'm saying is, yeah, I get you, dude, and that's good. Your belief in Jesus Christ.
But now I want to. When you're done, I've got something to say for sure. Let me know when you're.
All right. No, I was just saying, like, your beliefs makes you who you are, makes you be a good person. So why should I don't care that, you know, we might not have the same beliefs, but as long as you're a good
But
person.
check this out. I wasn't 100%. Like, I was raised believing, you know, but there's
Yeah,
been
I don't wanna
times where I
put a label on you.
wasn't. But
Yeah.
because of the events that has happened in my life and because of events that has happened in other people's life,
Right, and that's
I
what I'm
have
saying.
realized a different picture, and that's me believing. I believe. Now, everybody's different. You know what I mean? I can't make you believe.
Now, so let me ask you this: how did you come to your belief of all this person and God and Jesus and like what
Well, I
forms that
mean-
belief? Where do you get the knowledge?
Man, like, it's just the experiences, the way I was raised, the things I've seen. Like, trust me, like,
I mean, wouldn't all this come from a
guarantee-
book? I mean, like, how do you know?
dude, to be honest with you, I've only read the Bible maybe like what, more than a handful of times, and I've never read it like full. So no one can say that I've gotten this from reading a book. You know what I mean? I can tell you 100%.
But I mean, what you mentioned Jesus, like how this has to come. You're not the knowledge you're quoting is ultimately whether you got it secondhand or third hand. It is coming from the Bible.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Like, it makes a lot of sense. The Holy Spirit, it's that the aroma you feel around you. You know, you can't see it. Can you see the wind? You can't see the wind, but you can feel it. Jesus. Why, why is Jesus so important?
I'm just asking a simple question. Like, you believe the Bible?
I believe the Bible is a guide. I believe the Bible is a way for you to change your life. And I believe that the Bible, if you're trying to communicate with God, just read the Bible. You know, like really, like what's wrong? You can watch a movie. You can watch a horror movie.
So have you heard of the Book of Enoch? Have you heard of that book?
What?
No,
Yeah, I've
this
heard
is
the book. I've heard of every book, but like
So,
I'm
the book-
not 100%.
Well, no, like, but here's the thing. I know you're saying you're not
100% up to date to
100%.
go.
I still need to
I
read
can't
the book,
debate on. I can't debate on
It's
that
not a
level,
debate. I'm
you
not
know,
asking you to debate. I'm just saying, like, if your religion is based on books, and it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's
wait,
nothing
let's
wrong
change
with
it
that.
real quick. So, I don't call it a religion because religions have rituals. Religions have how do you say? You have a way that you do things. It's your it's like your ritual, you know. So everybody has a ritual. In my religion, in Christianity, there's not a certain time you have to pray. You can pray whenever you want. Nothing against people that have a certain time to pray, but I don't have a you know what I mean. I don't have a just like a cycle that I keep repeating. You know what I'm saying? Like it's to me it's different. Christianity because I believe in Christ. Jesus Christ. He came to earth as God, died for our sins. I believe he came to earth to die for our
Yeah,
sins.
but
you
you're
know what I
talking
mean?
about the Bible right now. Like
Yeah, the Bible, but-
any knowledge that you have of your religion comes from the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So the Bible is a series of books that have been put together.
of events that was
Well, a series of books, a series of writings that have been
yeah
put together.
that have been put together. Yes.
Arguably the oldest, it was written in a language called GEs, which is an Ethiopian language. GE hyphen EZ or apostrophe EZ. It's called the Book of Enoch, and Enoch walked with God for 300 years.
With
And
Jesus?
No, Enoch.
Okay.
Enoch was the only human being that God, and he is mentioned in the Bible as well. Enoch is the only human being that got to walk with God. He walked with God for 300 years. He's also the only human, according to the scripture, that did not experience death because God took him from the earth and did not allow him to experience death. If you claim to be religious, I think that's great. I became religious researching the flat earth, like being open-minded. I wasn't religious. I had started religious, but then I kind of lost my way. I really never really was. I just was taken to church. Today, I'm more religious than I ever have been from researching the flat Earth. That's how it happened to me. I've read the Book of Enoch or listened to it, the audiobook, 5 times now, or I'm on my 5th time. And let me tell you, if you're someone who claims to be religious, you should read that book. You should. It is absolutely enthralling and captivating. If you claim to be religious,
Where did you read the book at?
Well, I listened to the audiobook. It's on YouTube.
But
you can listen to it.
Have you ever read it from the Bible itself?
It's not in the Bible. It was taken from the Bible. It was taken out of just like the book of Ezra.
But who
just
told
like,
you it was? How did you find out it was taken from the Bible?
You can research it. There were lots of books taken from the Bible. There's lots
Where
of.
Where was it researched on the internet?
This isn't really disputed by the church. Like the church kind of admits that it was taken from the Bible.
Well, I mean,
it was taken from the Bible because it talks of 3,600 foot tall giants called Nephilim, and it talks about. I'll tell you why you should want to read it is because, and also if you doubt its validity, the Ethiopian Christian church it's always been a part of their scripture, always. It actually was part of the original Bible, whatever you would call that. I don't know at what point they took it off, whether it was King James or whatever, but they had decided to take it out because it was too, what's the word for it? Too, it almost sounded like sci-fi. It was like some crazy shit, right? So they took it out of there. Controversial. It was too controversial to leave in the Bible. But it's always been in the Ethiopian Bible, and they talk about what's really amazing about it is they talk about what can happen to a spirit, like your spirit. They talk about if it can, like, let's say someone asked you, can a spirit be destroyed? Can a spirit be destroyed? Well, hold on, wait a
Pretty
minute.
sure that just happened to Connor.
Yeah.
That's good. But hold on.
Damn.
Hold on, that was good, wasn't it? Hold on.
I think I saw someone's spirit get destroyed.
Yeah. So if you're talking about can a spirit be terminated or removed
Not
from
terminated,
existence?
Not removed from existence.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. So let me talk for a
Destroyed
minute.
in another way.
So those things right there, you can speculate on because you never read about that. Those answers are in the Book of Enoch. They talk about it. God asks Enoch all of these questions, and he is told what can happen to a spirit if it can be destroyed. What has to happen? Like what spirits can be destroyed?
Well, your spirit,
where they
your
go.
Soul. Your spirit is your soul. Your soul can never be
Well,
destroyed.
hold on. In the Book of Enoch, they don't call it a soul. They call it a spirit. They never use the word soul. They use spirit. So I'm just saying, what if, let's just say, so if you're like here and immediately you get defensive and we're friends. So don't take offense to what I'm saying. This is what makes
You
this
have
show
your
good.
opinion, I have
People
my
want to hear
opinion.
this. I think it's great to have this discussion. So, but here's the thing. If you're religious and you believe in God, this isn't funny. Like I mean,
All right, yes,
if you're
continue.
religious and you believe in God, and a guy claims to have walked with God for 300 years, wouldn't you want to read what he had to say? I mean, like that dude said he walked with. You're reading the scriptures of Jesus, who. It's like we're gonna read these about Jesus, and Jesus was born. It was God's son. But here's a man that claims to have. They called Enoch the scribe of God, and this dude said he walked with God for 300 years and asked him everything. And then what'd he do? He wrote a book and told everyone, dude, this is what God told me. And he talks about hell, where it's located. It's called Sheol. He talks about he talks about the different caverns that the different spirits are kept in. Like one for like the Watchers are separated. Like the evil what we call angels aren't kept with the spirits of humans. They're separated, right? And the only spirits that, if I remember this right, it's 4 hours. The book, to listen to the book is about 4 hours. But the only spirits that got destroyed were the spirits of the Nephilim, which is the Watchers that took wives of
200 of them?
Well, here's the thing. It's not really clear how many of them were killed because some of them were, the Watchers were left on Earth. Their spirits were reincarnated again and again. And those are the ones that are left on Earth to misguide us. So if you listen to the Book of Enoch, and there's 200 evil spirits on this planet that have this knowledge that we don't have. And you can wonder, like, wow, if they were angels, do they get to do they get to keep their knowledge from lifetime to lifetime?
Yeah.
You know, maybe they do. But imagine that, and this would all be by God's design, because if you start to think about this, right, God would know the future, the past, and the present, right? There's unquestionably, he knows. Like God didn't just, if you believe in the Bible, then you have to believe that God didn't get caught off guard, like, holy shit, my 200 angels went down and made it. But he didn't do that. He knew it was going to happen. He knew it was going to happen, and they had a purpose, because being on earth wouldn't be a test if you weren't misled. You know what I'm saying? If there was just one guy, only the positive side, going, hey dudes, there's God, we're all gonna go to heaven. But what he did was, there were these 200 watchers that are there to mislead you. And I'm not a preacher, but I'm telling you that what's become my beliefs from researching certain things. So now my belief has become that, let's just say, for example, let's go on a wild tangent, like crazy wild. You have an open mind. You have an
Are
open
you
mind.
saying the 200 watchers of the Anunnaki?
I gotta roll.
No.
You can roll out, dude.
sorry, dude.
We're gonna finish this conversation, but
well,
you can roll out. But we'll say goodbye.
Thank you,
to Henry.
everybody, for having me. I wish I could stay more, but I really got a lot of things to do. But yeah, back to religion. It's a deep topic, and everybody has their own opinion, you know. But
We're gonna finish this conversation.
Yeah,
we're gonna
they're
say
gonna
goodbye to
finish the
Henry, who is
conversation.
gracious enough to bless us with his
Thank you,
presence.
senor.
yeah, with some of my
Share some of his
experiences
stories.
and everything.
Good
so
stuff.
thank you guys.
I'm gonna walk him out, and
Show.
you guys are gonna keep our two
keep it
our two
going?
followers entertained while I
Adios.
come back. So I'll be right back.
My legs are
And
numb.
then we're gonna finish
You
this.
gonna be here tomorrow?
My legs are numb. Maybe.
All right, man. All right. Hey, Joe.
Yeah. What's up?
So, this is a new one. Oh, man. Hey, we haven't rolled in a while, man.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. When last week? 2 weeks ago?
Did we roll together? I don't know, man.
No, well, we rolled, but we didn't roll for long.
No, I was gassed
I
out.
was sitting
'cause
on the
I
mat
think-
going, 8 minutes left.
No,
8
you know
minutes
what?
left.
I roll with Tom, the new guy.
It's tough.
Yeah, he's a good roll.
When he gets.
and
I
he
remember
had-
I remember when I first started rolling with Javon. I had been coming here a couple weeks, and he showed up, and I watched him a little bit, and then I rolled with him because he was with Jason out of town, and he was the only purple belt that was showing up at the time.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
finally got to roll.
Javon needs to come back, bro. If you're out there, come back, man. He's so fun to roll with, man.
Yeah, I remember rolling with him, and he said, "Man, in a year, or no, I think he said in 6 months. He's 6 months to a year. He said, I'm gonna have a problem with you." I was like, "Yeah, well,
Everybody
think
keeps telling me that,
Everybody
too.
keeps telling you that.
Everybody keeps telling me
Everybody
that.
keeps telling you that, and
They're like-
eventually it's gonna happen.
They're like, it's like, hey, dude, like
You start to learn what works for you. Your jiu-jitsu is totally different than, anyone else's jiu-jitsu.
We were talking about the competition yesterday. Was a Newbury competition.
Yeah.
We were all out there, and I think at dinner we were talking about that. Me and Paul, about how everybody has different things about them, and I guess my forte, or what I'm being known for around, is my pressure, the top pressure. Like, my pressure's getting good, I guess. So that's a compliment, because
Learn how to apply it.
knowing how to move your weight around.
For sure.
And that's a huge
Knowing when to focus your weight on one point and when to spread it out.
yeah, and that's a huge to me.
Different.
That's a huge compliment, because every time someone brings up Pedro Pajares, right?
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend, and I hope one day Pedro gets on the show. But every time someone brings up Pedro, they also bring up his pressure. So
Yeah.
if that's what's being associated with me, fuck yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so down with that, because
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna work on that. I'm just gonna work on my technique. But again, back to rolling. The last time we rolled, the roll I had before that was Tom, the new guy, which I'm glad to see new phases here, because that means I'm not the new buck
like that
anymore.
dude.
I do too.
I hope he hangs out.
Yeah. I like him
He's
a lot.
super cool.
I rolled with him the
rolled
other
with him
night. I
once.
don't know why it turned into a competition / coaching event. Like, I don't know if you were paying attention. It seemed like nobody
just
else.
happens.
Yeah, and Craig, Raging Cajun, supposed to be my boy, was like totally giving this guy pointers on how to sweep me.
That's
And-
good, because you know who coaches take the person
Who needs the help.
So that's kind of cool. Like what he's saying is he kind of wants to help Tom, who's new, to give him a chance against you.
Motivate
So that's
him.
good, because that means Craig automatically assumed you could beat Tom. So that's kind of cool, and he's trying to help Tom out.
Okay, I'll
That's
take
my
it that
opinion.
way. I'll take it.
I always, if
That's
I'm
the
going to
only way
coach,
I
I'm
would
always
take
going to
it.
go for the,
for the guy losing. I remember when
Obviously,
we did the.
if you're in competition, your own teammate. But
Sure.
on the mat, yeah, I don't take offense at all. If I'm rolling with somebody and Paul starts talking them through a move,
you
I'll
defend
even slow down and let them, because it's muscle memory. Everything you're doing is muscle memory, and if you do it, if every time you go to do a Kimura on a higher belt, and he immediately escapes and doesn't give you a chance to try and get
Some things are
closer
muscle
to-
memory.
you know what I mean?
I find myself pausing a lot and trying to think of what I want to do next.
But if
and
your
I-
muscle memory is halfway through a finished Kimura,
I think my
then
muscle
your muscle
memory
memory's
now
not good.
is
Your muscle memory has to be
my-
the finished Kimura.
my muscle memory now, is getting my hands locked in and the grips. Like I think
And don't forget the leg.
right those
locking them-
those
locking
little
them
things.
rolling.
But and then just getting the pointers every day. It just helps.
Just keep showing up. And I know it was annoying the first time they showed up, because in Taekwondo, it's not like Jiu-Jitsu, because you can't do Taekwondo and train and then go 100% and beat the shit out of each other. You only train once a month if you did Taekwondo like you do Jiu-Jitsu.
What? Wait.
So in Jiu-Jitsu, we train and we go easy, and you have an uke. And then you choose someone to roll with, and you can roll with somebody who's going to really test you, or you can find someone to roll with because your shoulder hurt, whatever. You find someone to roll with that's going to match your.
Okay.
If I feel like crazy that day, I might just go straight to somebody I know that's going to roll fast and hard. If my shoulder's bothering me, I'm going to roll with people that are smaller than me or the same size.
Right.
In Taekwondo, if you did that, if me and you did a 1 hour class of Taekwondo, and then we looked at each other and said, all right, let's beat the shit out of each other. Neither of us would make it to Taekwondo the next day.
Really? Yeah.
No, you punch each other in the ribs or in the face. Jiu-Jitsu is beautiful because you can train soft, and then you can roll or spar soft, hard, medium. You can spar with somebody for 30 seconds and go, okay, we're ramping it up. I know within 10 seconds of if who I'm sparring with wants to ramp it up or just stay at this level.
Yeah.
Or I've rolled with people that say after the first 2 minutes, like, I didn't know we were going hard today. I was like, I didn't know either.
Just matching what you're
I guess
doing,
I just
bro.
had, no, I think I think maybe that day I just had a lot of energy and I was rolling hard.
Yeah.
So back to where I was going. We
Okay,
got 4 guests again. So I've
You take
I've
over.
replicated. What's up? Hey, how are you? Hello. So finishing my thing, that we're gonna go down this road because I love the. For those who don't know, I fucking love the flat Earth conspiracy thing, man.
Before he left, I was gonna play devil's advocate on the whole religious topic.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. So if you leave off at the watchers, let's say there were 200 watchers. If you're religious and you believe that, and maybe it's true, there were 200, fallen angels, and God left them here, and it was all part of His plan. He knew it from the get-go it was going to happen, and they play a critical role in misleading us, right? Like, you have to have, in order to have free will, there has to be another choice, right? If all you know and your only choice is God, that's not free will. It's like, hey, man, life's going to be great. It's a party. You're going to love it. We're with your family. What choice is that? Of course. Yeah, dude, give it to me. There has to be the other side. There has to be sex and drugs and coke and all this crazy shit over here, and then burning for that. There has to be. He has to find a way to. And I think that that the Bible could be a very real and true story, and now more so than ever, I think it's probable. Just because you have shit like the Sumerians Kings list, that goes back with all these like verifiable kings, then all of a sudden you start getting to rulers that lived for like 800 years and shit, and you're like, what? And then you get to one that lived for like 26,000 years, and you're like, what? And then they think that we just went from sci-fi to real, and all this. The cool thing about when you start learning more and more and more different subjects, they all kind of link back, and you're like, oh shit, like that just cross-referenced that, and you're like, that makes total sense.
That's
and
what time did for me when I started reading about time, just as a subject in general.
Yeah.
That mishmashes into every subject, every way you can think about the development of the human race and communication technology and all of it. None of that happens without time.
And another thing is like, so if you're talking about these 200 watchers, right? And let's say they are on Earth, and let's say they have a huge advantage over us, which I think they would. I think they'd have something like they'd probably get to retain their memory or something like. And so imagine the knowledge that amass.
Yeah.
And
Like
the
if
way
you could
you
go back
would
to high school with the knowledge you have right now,
shit.
you could be 16.
That's just
again in high
one
school.
generation. Could you imagine? That's just one.
Imagine 10
if you did
generations
this like
deep or 150,000
Shit. You and your
years.
family would fucking rule the world, and you would. You'd say, yep, I'm gonna set up a central bank. I'm gonna
like you said, it's just one generation. I could
Yeah.
go back and buy stock in Yahoo,
Yeah.
and stock in AOL,
Yeah.
and stock, and and
Bitcoin.
But then what I'm saying is, then you could progress through the last
that also
30
have a
years of your
better
life.
ability to foresee because history repeats itself. Like even if you can't go back, you still have a really good idea about like, oh, I've seen this happening before. Saw this with the fucking Romans.
That
It's
goes
going
back
again.
to what you said earlier about God being omniscient and he sees the past, present, and the future. Well, when you start to research time a little bit, you realize that if you can break time, you can see the past, the present. And if you can figure out how to do that, are you God? If you can break time, are you God?
Well, we're all God, right? Like that's the
That
the
if
theory.
we find
We're
out
all-
how to, if we can measure time down to the Planck scale on both distance and time passed, they say if we can do that, then we can break time,
Interesting.
which is 10 to the negative 44th in seconds and 10 to the negative 33rd in the other measurement. I can't remember. what it is
Interesting.
right now.
There's that 3-3. That 3-3 always comes
10
up.
to the
that
negative
Masonic
10 to
3-3.
it's 10 to the negative 33 seconds.
You know
So
how many minutes
10
they stayed on Apollo 11 on the moon? Or you know how many hours they stayed on the
33?
moon? 33 hours.
Yeah.
They stayed on the moon 33 hours. It's so Masonic. People don't get it. It's like, dude,
Because
you just don't
because
understand.
it's been fed for so many generations.
They just
If
don't
you-
get
it's
it.
just like going back to the big pharma and food. They're not separate. Food is big pharma because it was food before. It was agriculture before it was big pharma. That's big pharma came from agriculture. You had agriculture, then you had the FDA,
So-
and then they started saying, this is what you can sell and eat, and this is what's a drug. And from there on, they never separated.
So let's say you're a watcher, right? Let's say you're a watcher and you realize, I wasn't done. Let's say you're a watcher.
We can go back and forth.
And I'm cool with that. My brain's working okay today. It's like
I took my
so,
lines, man.
So you realize, shit, the joke's on me. I thought I did God wrong. He knew I was gonna do this. I have a role to play, and let's rock out this fucking role because he's wanting me to misguide and mislead. He's wanting me to do this, and I get pussy, drugs, rock and roll, and it's all part of the plan. And let's go, baby, right? So what's he trying to do? What are they trying to do? Well, your goal
this watcher is trying to trick you or
to make you go down the wrong path.
okay.
The first thing you would
is it
do,
a test?
well, there'd be there could be up to 200 watchers, right? There could be 200
Yeah.
watchers, and their job is to mislead you, right?
Okay.
The first thing I would do is I would fake space. I would say, because if we're living on a flat plane in the Bible, there's this dude who walked with God who said, dude, we're on a flat plane, stars spiral above us. And all of a sudden,
We
you're
could
like,
be in a-
holy
we could be in a
shit.
snow globe.
He's dead right. Like, I'm religious. So what you have to have is this group that's feeding you nothing but bullshit, trying to make you say, well, we're in space, you're insignificant, you don't even measure. You're on such a scale, it's so minuscule, you can't even be measured. It's so big. You evolved from fucking dust. You were a tadpole, and there's no God. Your evolution, Darwinism, and that is the way you would misguide and mislead people. And I'm just like, one of the ways you get there is you start trying to prove that we've been to space.
Well, it's just like that saying, what was the devil's greatest lie? Making you believe he didn't exist. Well, like along the lines you're saying, what if space never existed? What would be the best way to trick you?
But
To make you think it
there's-
existed.
Yeah. So one of the things is like people are like, what the fuck? Like, you gonna fall off the earth? When I was a kid, it took me like
in Truman Show, you're gonna hit the edge of the snow
Well, here's the thing though. Here's an interesting thing I started thinking about the other day is that it took me years to accept the fact that there was no end to space. right? Like,
No known discernible end.
well, no, there can be no end. It can change forms, but
Yeah, yeah.
what would you hit that could? There has to be something on the other side, right? So and then one day, I think all kids ponder this and they go, okay, so there's no end. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
There's just no end, even though that is impossible because that can't be possible. Like everything in our existence, everything we've known, everything that relates to humanity, that relates to physicality has a limit. There's no limit to space. But then you tell someone, maybe there's not a limit to the plane we're living on. You fucking retard. Are you fucking ludicrous? You'd fall off. There's got to be an end. It's like, wait a minute. You just accepted it in one form, and actually in all forms. You said, well, what if we ran out of, gaseous space? So then maybe it would be a solid space. And you'll say you're okay with that. You're like, yeah, outside of our planet, you could go forever, limitlessly, but the moment we're on a flat plane, all of a sudden that's impossible to you. And the thing about this is, if you convinced me that we'd been to space, I'd probably backtrack. But although I'm already like my religious things have already changed, and I'm sure right now that'll never change, because when you start researching the flat Earth, the one thing that you do learn, and I'll go back to the quote from Galileo Galilei where he said, the language that the universe is written in is mathematics. It unquestionably is. Whether it's Masonic science or whether it's just math, whatever you want to call it, the stars and sun and moon above us is a fucking perfect clock. It's fucking perfect, right? Like, what are the odds that we've got this sun that has 24 hours in a day, and then we got this moon that has all the days in the month, and then we got these stars that represent all the months, right? The Aquarius, all that, right? And it's like we got this hour, month, day clock above us.
That's seasons, the solstice.
Man, you've got all this mathematics.
So that all loops all the way back around
Time.
to time.
Time.
The one thing we haven't
Yes.
figured out. Yeah, we figured out,
and it's
we
all
figured
based
out
on 360, right? In 360, there's 360
time and space
degrees.
are both 360. They're both at 360, then 2 sets of degrees, then decimals after that. But yeah.
And then you got nature. Everything in nature is related to the Fibonacci sequence, and then pi, and then all this. There's
all
and then
related.
pi is such a, it's an infinite. For something to have a ratio of pi, it's like the one thing that's infinitely deep and changing. Like anything else is an even. It's like pi is like the one of, if not the only mathematical. And then how are you going to get pi and all these, related to the Fibonacci sequence and all this stuff? It's like there's a mathematics unquestionably, and I'm just at the tip of it, right? Like
Have you ever seen
I'm not
the mo-
sitting
have
here
you ever
going,
seen the
I'll
movie
teach you all
Pi?
about it. I don't know.
The movie Pi?
I don't think so.
It was a black and white art house film from
No,
I want to say
sounds
that.
good though.
It's all right. You could probably watch it one time. It's good. It's just a little too art house for me. But he's researching. He's supposedly using before quantum computers existed in real life. But it's a fictional movie about this guy that invents his own quantum computer in his house, and he's trying to get the quantum computer to find pi to the end. And he finally, throughout the movie, he gets to where he sees pi everywhere. Everywhere he goes, he sees.
Yeah.
I mean, he sees the
Right.
equation in shells he picks. He sees
Yeah.
pi everywhere
Yeah.
because it is everywhere.
And it is everywhere.
If you look
It
for
is.
it is everywhere. And he finally, the philosophical whole moral of the movie was that it never ends. Pi never ends.
Yeah. It
doesn't
never
end.
ends. It never ends.
Just
It
like-
goes infinitely.
and that's the whole idea behind quantum physics. If you're not quantum mathematics, quantum physics theory is you have yin and you have yang, and you have 50-50, and then you have all the way to where almost there's no yin and all yang, and then reverse, or black and white, or light and dark, or whatever you want to say. There's duality of life on this planet. There's an infinite amount of movement between those. There's no 62.3%. It's 62.3 to the infinite variable. That's what quantum physics theory is, that there is no 1 or 0. There's an infinite version of either and both. And the way they interplay with each other is potentially, they hope, can describe all of everything that's ever existed. Because the way you measure things, you break them down. Like I can measure an inch, and then I can measure a half, and I can break that down to where I can no longer see that measurement.
Yeah.
My eye can't see.
Yeah.
Then I can get a microscope, and
Yeah,
then I
and
can and then I can see that measurement, and I can break it down some more.
Yeah.
And then I can get an electron microscope, and I can break it down some more.
Yeah.
And then I can break things in math. I can break things down so far, like Planck time and Planck space. I can see them on paper at such a small scale that I potentially can break time.
Yeah.
Literally move into and out of and forward and back.
The first person I heard talk about that was Nassim Haramein, and he really goes
Yeah.
into like the whole
And
infinitely,
the whole thing, if you start looking at time like that, and then quantum time, and specifically this guy, God, I wish I could remember his name and give him props. But he's an Italian scientist currently working on what he believes. A lot of people argue against him, of course, which is the beauty of science, because they're both just theories.
Yeah.
He believes he made the jump from quantum gravity theory to what he calls loop quantum gravity theory. So he believes that time is granular, just like everything else. We're granular. You're made up of cells. If you break anything down to that small, everything's granular in nature. And he believes that time is basically a field like magnetism or the electromagnetic field, all that business, radar. They're all fields. And he believes that quantum loop relativity is the gravity field is basically a chain link fence or chain mail, and they're all hooked together. So if you can change time in one section, you cause ripples in other sections. And then it interplays. The time isn't affected just by the things around it. It affects the things around it, and vice versa. Just like electricity affects magnetism, and gravity bends light, but much slower than it bends other things like the ocean. So if gravity is causing the tides in the ocean, and the moon is causing, if the moon exists and it's causing those, if it's not all just simulation, then it gets pulled up. Like if you grab a napkin and pull it up, or a blanket and pull up, you pinch it and pull it up, you pull it up in a wave. And if you go like this, you create waves. That's the way he believes that quantum gravity works in real life, that it's a field that is constantly changing.
Interesting. You have to send me that guy's name so I can watch some more on that.
I've never YouTubed him. I just read 2 of his books.
Interesting.
Do you think we've been to the moon?
No. We went over this last time, but
I wasn't here.
had the
for that. I
microphone
wasn't here
issues.
for that.
Well, me and him and Nikki did a podcast, but you could barely hear me because the microphone was.
Yeah, I was fucked up that time.
But no,
You're
we're all
on,
good
you're on
now.
today, yeah.
I don't believe we've been to the moon. I don't believe we've left Earth's upper atmosphere. I don't think humans.
So you believe that lower Earth orbit, though, right? We've got the ISS out there, and we've definitely broken.
Doubtfully.
I wouldn't say broke. No.
Do you
I'd say it got high enough that you've pulled away from gravity a little bit, and you've found a nice place where there's very little oxygen, and you can float around the Earth.
Yeah.
I don't think you're in outer space. What do you determine outer space? I mean, how do
Yeah.
you determine outer space?
Yeah. Yeah.
NASA gives you a distance and says this is inner space, this is outer
Yeah.
space.
Well, lower Earth
And,
orbit.
and
like
by
up
the way,
to-
we're right here
up to like
on the
1,200
one that
miles.
says we're in outer space.
ISS is
Well,
at 250 miles. It's
it's
like
200.
well within low Earth orbit.
Yes.
They
yeah.
claim it's at 250 miles. There's something you can see in the sky that goes
Correct.
across that looks something like a.
Yeah. No, I don't.
box
I don't
of little
believe
things.
that we've been to the moon or left.
You
Earth.
think we've been to the moon?
I don't think we
Brenden?
can leave Earth.
But then why would you believe in space? I'm just curious. Like if we have never confirmed in any way, what would make you believe in space? Like if you don't think humans have been outside of 1,000 miles up, what would make you believe in any of that out there? Like why would you? Like what proof would you have that made you believe?
I mean, obviously, I don't have a big telescope, but just like looking.
Have you seen stars magnified? Have you actually seen what they look like?
No.
They look like little flashlights with water running in front of them.
Right.
They don't look like, there's no way that they translate into the CGI stuff that NASA puts out. If you look at a star magnified on the most powerful amateur, the one thing you know is you're smart enough, your senses tell you there's no way you could magnify that and get what NASA gave me. I'm looking at it right now. That's like a flashlight behind water with ripples going through it. And then you're reading about what
Something's up there though,
Here-
right?
here's-
Like I
here,
mean,
you
when,
wanna hear-
when
you
the
wanna-
lights are
I'll tell you-
low and you're in the forest, you're camping out.
there's stars.
I'll
up
tell
there.
you.
Yeah,
I'll tell
there's
you my
something
theory
up there.
about all that. You're in the forest and you're camping, and you look at a tree and you see a tree. I look at a tree and I see a universe in that tree. The amount of bacteria and insects and bugs and rodents and animals that are living off that tree alone,
Right.
let alone all the fungi that lives underneath and the I can't remember the word. It's rhizo something. The interaction between the fungi and the roots of the tree and the entire planet Earth. It's estimated that we only know about 10% of the microorganisms on this planet.
Well, and
10
honestly,
to 12.
it would really be infinite because you
And
could,
it could
you
be
just
infinite.
keep cracking
It could
down
be infinite.
layers, right?
What 5 years ago we could scientifically name and describe 1.5 million fungi on the planet Earth. 5 years ago.
Right.
Last year that number was 5 million. We've only explored 15% of the ocean. 15% of the largest part of this planet, and we know about 15% of it, but we're trying to go somewhere that we probably have never been.
Right.
I don't.
And we're
I don't
spending
think it
trillions
exists. I
and
don't think
billions and trillions of dollars a year wherever that money. I mean, people have jobs and it's creating the economy, of course. But maybe we did go to the moon. Maybe we are going to outer space. Maybe they're going to outer space every weekend on secret missions, and we've just never known it.
Yeah.
Or maybe we just need to turn our lens down instead of up
Inward, right?
and figure out how we're going to live on this planet without killing each other. Because 100 years ago, you could kill each other and it wasn't that big of a deal. 5,000 years ago, it was a sport. People killed each other constantly. Now we have to figure out how to do it without killing each other. Which I think that when you were talking about jiu-jitsu in high school, I can't remember what podcast it was. I think with Colin.
Right.
So imagine how many less. At first, there'd be more fights probably, but imagine how many less fights there would be in. It's just like the carry law. Imagine how many less crime there would be if everybody had a pistol. Everybody knew how to break your arm.
I'd be totally down. I think everyone should have guns anywhere
If
because
everybody knew how to break your arm and choke you out, and you didn't know who had the. You're walking around right now. One out of how many you think, Bobby, could choke you out? You know how many blue belts exist in the world by percentage?
right.
If
44? No. 44%.
but if that number jumped by,
That's how many quit. No.
if that number jumped by 1,000%.
I think
People being less
there's something
likely.
in it though. It teaches discipline. It teaches.
It's
people-
also a place to get your aggression out.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
don't care if you can argue with that and say it's
There's-
a blah 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 this and that.
Mondays
But you can't. After jiu-jitsu, I sleep better because I'm worn out,
Yeah.
and I just got a lot of my aggression out safely and having fun. I've never hurt anybody, and I never would. But
There's
you gotta
tons
love
of days.
coming to a class where you can try and choke each other, and it's fun.
There's been, I can't even count on my hands how many times that I've come to class or on my way to class and I'm just like, God, I just don't want to do it today.
I'm gonna tell you
And I
guys.
leave and I'm just
That's what I keep
pumped.
saying. I keep saying that. Just keep showing up.
Just
man.
keep showing up, man.
Just keep showing up.
I get here and
It'll click like a ratcheting thing. It'll just keep like a roller coaster.
We're back
when
on
you-
jujitsu.
When you get on the roller coaster and you click and you go, you just keep showing up and you keep hitting that next ratchet.
absolutely.
What's frustrating is this is what's frustrating is there's gonna come up. Let's say you stay with it as long as I have. Let's say, or maybe longer.
Let's just say 10 years.
Let's say
Commit to a black belt.
20.
20.
What's gonna suck is you're gonna have an injury, a bad one,
Yeah.
because our ego does that to us, right? And like me, it always comes up, but it's part of me accepting jiu-jitsu. It's part of me. My reality of jiu-jitsu is different than your all's reality of jiu-jitsu. I have the same passion that you all have, but I can't be as effective as I used to be, and that's frustrating. Like, so jiu-jitsu has a little bit of frustration for me, and
I
I'm
think
sure
it does for everyone.
I'm sure. Well, God dang, it's different, man. It's different. It's different when it's your spine. It's different. Like that's that's like 100% of your game. Like I can't, if I go with someone today, I cannot move like my brain wants to, right? My brain's like, bro, you can get out. No, I can't do that. I can't. It's like, you could get, no, I can't go that way. I can't, well, I could, no, I can't go that way. You have all these avenues shut down for you, right?
But my size is the same. I can't do triangles like you. So it's like there's, and I'm not trying to compare it, but I am. Like, there's certain things you can do.
Yeah, but
that I
imagine
can't
if
do.
you came to a day where you couldn't use your size. Like, how frustrating would that be if you spent 10 years using your size? And that,
Well, it would that
10
would
years
suck.
for me was using my guard and playing off being stacked. And then, and then now I can't do that. So what happens is you still have a passion for it. You still have a love for it. But you don't have the same passion for it. And you don't have the same love for it because you've realized when you realize, it was like working out for me. When I was on juice and I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, every day I wanted to go to the gym, bigger and bigger and bigger. And then one day you're like, I've got to kick the juice. This isn't good. This is bad.
Not good.
And then you start getting smaller and smaller. You give up lifting. You can't lift and get smaller. You can't keep doing it, right? You're like, man, what's the point? I'm going to the gym, I'm working out, but I'm losing gains. It's like, so jiu-jitsu kind of takes that path. Like what you're going to see from all of your teachers, from whoever that teacher is at whatever school, is one of two things happens. Either someone else steps up and start teaching, or, I can't have the same passion. Like if I look at Jason, Jason's out there studying all day, every day. He's like, man, he's wanting to, but me, my jiu-jitsu is getting worse, and there's nothing I can do about it. I've hit the age. I don't think it's about age. I think you can get better maybe up until 50. I'm 46, Maybe up until 50 you could get better and better and better, maybe, if you don't have an injury. But if you ruin your spine along that path, and I think if there's a lesson to be learned there, if there were a lesson, it would be value your body more than that tap, oh shit, sometimes we get so concerned with a win that we or even preventing a loss that we let an injury happen. And man, it's so much easier today. Like today, because of what I've been forced to, like there comes a time where you're just like, I just take the lot, no big deal, lose, I don't care, get tapped out by my student, not a big deal. Today I don't care. If I had known that, if I'd had that mentality at, when I started jiu-jitsu, I'd be healthy today. You look at Hickson, I think they said he has 8 herniated discs in his back. The guy can barely stand. He's like, he has you can see when he's standing, he's hurting. I'm in the same boat, right? Like I've got 5 herniated discs. I'm not far from him. But then you look at Hoist, and Hoist has like no injuries. I don't think he has a single injury. Like he can bend in every direction. And obviously he did something differently, right? Like I'd recommend be like Hoist. Don't be like Hickson. The 350 wins isn't worth not being able to train again. It's like.
Do you think, just in general, competition increases your jiu-jitsu? How beneficial is competition? Like if I came to you and said I'm thinking about competing, or I'm pretty much never going to compete, how fast would that change the rate at which you learn jiu-jitsu? If you say I competed 3 times a year and trained like I normally do, or I didn't compete at all and trained like I normally do you think you'd learn faster?
I've never analyzed it. Like if you asked, I don't know if you, I mean, I would have to imagine that it helps you in some way. Like it's a different variable. It's a different, for sure it helps you in some way, like unquestionably.
Me and Paul had this conversation yesterday at dinner, and he was saying, his advice to me was,
it's for sure the first one you do is going to wake your ass up. That's for sure. Because I remember my first Taekwondo competition, and I was like, whoa.
But it's the closest thing to a fight.
Correct. Yeah.
Without an MMA fight, right? Like I wanted to do it. I think you do it if you want to test yourself. Like I think that's what it is. If you want to, if it's really very, very simple. Do you want to test yourself? Just my advice to someone is, I don't push competition. There are some schools that push competition, and they really make the students feel bad if they don't. Like, what I'm saying? It's like, and I disagree with that.
Sure.
I do not push competition at all. I don't push it. I don't even bring it up. I'm like I'll lay some things on the table. Really, other than that, I won't even mention it. But I think you should compete. My personal thing is, no one ever pushed me to compete. I just competed when I wanted to test myself, and I think, the reason I got this mentality is is I watched kids fall off. I've watched kids get pushed to the point that they hate jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And parents don't understand that. I watch parents.
I don't think they hate jiu-jitsu. They hate the relationship that jiu-jitsu is creating. And
Man, it's
therefore
bad.
They exit jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
to
their
get out of
parents
that
are trying
relationship.
they're trying to help them, but it's like, dude, you're making them hate it. I know you don't
Yeah.
understand it, but you can't push someone to jiu-jitsu, and you can't push them to compete. And if they do compete, and you should be lucky enough to get them compete, or you pushed them into competition, the last thing you want to do is tell them they did bad, you know, or ridicule them in any way. Like, if my kid competes, I'm going to praise the shit out of her, win or loss. I'm going to take her out to dinner. I'm going to, like, the days you compete, you stepped onto the battlefield, win or lose, you're a warrior that day. You know, you're a warrior every day you step on the mats. But I watch some parents, like, literally insult their kids in front of their kids. And I'm just like, and I have, some of these people are really smart people. They're really, but I think they're like, they don't realize. They're looking at it. Maybe they think it's another way. We all have different means of motivation, right? Like, kind of making someone feel like a douchebag is one way to motivate them. But you kind of learn later that
one way.
it's better.
Yeah.
You know, Elio motivated his kids, and look at them. Look what they all turned into. They all turned into assassins, right? They turned into. What he did was, he gave them money if they lost. You either got the trophy or you got money, and that's a lesson to be learned. Like, the one thing you can say about the Gracies, even if they don't have the best, you know, jiu-jitsu has grown beyond them. They're not. They were the single source of knowledge, but today that knowledge has grown in many crevices of the world. And it's grown beyond their control. But they are the best teachers. God dang. You can't tell me.
Yeah.
You watch, this is the benefit of the beginning, right? The beginning was Elio and Carlos. And then you had this full time for the children of them, you know, Hickson and Horian, Henry Heaton, you know, all these guys, or I'm sorry, Hickson and Horian and Hobson and Holker and Hoyce, and then you go down to Gen 3, right? And you have Crone and Heaton and Henner and Clark and all these, and this is a lifetime stacked on top of a lifetime stacked on top of a lifetime.
Entire generations of
what we're perfecting today, they were perfecting 70 years ago, right?
old ancient martial arts philosophy is the master can push the boulder up the hill in front of you and show you the path, but you got to push your own boulder behind him.
So I do think they are the greatest teachers. The more generations, you know, ahead of you, and the closer you are to that, unquestionably, they've grown in ways other people just don't have the privilege to grow. I think there's some phenomenal ones out there that just understand shit we don't, man. I think. But I don't know, where were we going on that?
Well, I was just saying, Paul was telling me if I don't want to compete, I just go to different schools and
Going to
just
different
do-
schools is big, for
right?
sure.
You know, and
For
just
sure.
like
And
if
you're
you want
gonna
to
get a
test yourself,
different
just
taste.
go to a different school, roll with somebody, you know, pay
You gotta roll
a
with
drop-in
different
fee,
people.
and roll with different people and test yourself.
There's
There's
an
plenty of
anxiety
places to
in competing that I understand. You know, when I would I'll tell you my little trick for competing. Up until the first time I found out was yesterday. You were always able to do same day registrations. You could just go to the event and pay, right? And I loved that because in my head I would always go, I'm not sure if I'm going to compete or not. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. And then I had no anxiety, right? And then I would go to the tournament and go, yeah, I'm going to compete. And this was my subconscious helping my conscious, right?
Giving you 3 days of freedom before you decide. Because if you decide on Tuesday you're going to compete on Saturday, that's
you got to work. You run
working
through your
through that
head
anxiety for a week.
what's going to happen, because it's not just rolling; it's rolling at 101%, 100, whatever you want to call that percentage. That is the highest level, right? It's like someone. If you who watched Nikki? Like, did you see the? Dude, she probably like frightened the girls. She's like, ah! You know, just like she really went out to maul, you know, and those girls retaliated with their best version to maul, right? And that's intense. That's fucking intense. When you go against someone that has your size and your strength and maybe arguably better cardio and better strength. You might be outmatched because it's going to be really close, and one of you is going to be the better of the two. And you're going to go 110%, and that happens. Like adrenaline goes balls out in a competition, and that's intense, man. Some people don't handle that anxiety. You know, I did one thing. I think if I had started earlier, if we're going to make this about me, if I had started earlier, I'm pretty confident I would have fought MMA regularly, right? Like I did one MMA fight, and I remember talking to the other guys who were fighting around me, and I was like, dude, what's it like when you fight? Like, tell me. And they're like, bro, you can't even, you go to take a drink of water and you want to throw up. And they're like, it's like the anxiety is insane. You're like, got butterflies in your stomach. And I'm like, oh shit, right? And so I was like, well, I want to do this. I'm a school owner. I need to fight in a cage. And I signed up for my fight. And I got one of the baddest dudes. Like this dude, he to this day has a crazy reputation. Already at the time, he was like kind of like the amateur champion in Jacksonville, and this was my first MMA fight. And he was a fucking specimen, right? At the time, I was juicing pretty hard. I was not far behind him, but I was, you know, he was physically superior, I'd say. But I wasn't scared, and I never even got butterflies. I remember driving to the match. I'm like, oh God, when's it gonna come? You know, I'm still super calm, but I'm like, I know it's gonna hit me hard, and I'm gonna be like, yeah. And then like right up into the fight, I'm like, and then I walked out there totally cool. Like I was never nervous about the fight at all. And that's what's cool is like, I think when you fight, you find out who you are. Like, you know, that thing that is one cool thing about the competition is you get to find out what you're made of.
I think you find out like when you roll out here in this extremely non-competitive environment, you find out a little bit, and then when you compete at this level, you find out a little. Then when you compete at a higher and higher level, it's like the bottom drops out, and you find out who you really are.
Yeah, because usually someone shuts down in a fight. It's like, how hard are you willing to press yourself? Now, sometimes you just get caught, and that happens. Sometimes you were pressing 500%, and you're like going to blow up your heart, you know? And even if you do lose like that, that's you look back on it and you're like, damn, man, I fucking warred with that dude. Yeah. But some people just shut down. They don't realize it, and they kind of hide it a little bit, and it's like, oh, look, no, he kind of lost. I'm like, you kind of shut down. You know, it's like you kind of, and you get to find that out.
You can watch it happen in most fights.
You get to see if you shut down or you don't shut down. I wasn't going to say it again, some people I said it once. Some people are afraid to see that about themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Some people are afraid to tap.
Yeah. No, I'll tap, but like sure. I know one thing, like, and there were times I think like at the worst times, I even traveled wherever I even compete, like wherever I would travel, I would train. If I would travel, I'd line up places to train. If I'd be, you know, when I went to the Philippines, even I started immediately opened up a school. I'm not missing training. I'm gonna train wherever I'm at. You know, I had the passion for it, and but yeah, some people never compete. Some people never fight MMA. I think it's up to you if you do. I'd never push anyone to it. That's the last thing. I tell you someone that I think would do well in fighting is Nikki. I think she would do. She would do well. She's still got anxiety. I can see that. Mm-hmm. But with enough competition, she'd break through that anxiety. I see that anxiety and just the ferocity that she came out with, right? That's and I know she's going to listen to this and everything I mean in a positive way, but that was kind of a lack of control. That ferocity is like, it's like jiu-jitsu at the highest level is constant control. It's control from the beginning to the end, right? You may not win the exchange, but you're in a constant state of controlling yourself, right? And like the problem that a lot of people have, and this is one thing you would learn from competition if I think about it, is that if our instinct is to come out and go balls to the wall, right? Like that's our instinct. And I've been in that. I've been against that dude that's just like, just fucking trying to maul you, right? But in a no time limit situation, you'll beat that guy if you can control yourself, right? He'll burn out, right? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, most competitions cater to that dude who can just blast you for 5 minutes, and that guy's trained for that. That's shitty. I hate that. I would much rather. I would definitely compete more if there were more, or I can say I definitely would have, unquestionably, if there were more no time limit
Submission.
Yeah,
only,
that's the
you know, type of-
allure. That's the one thing I like what Brian's doing over there at 10th Planet is that, and I even thought about doing that. There's an organization called U.S. Grappling, and they do all theirs. They're kind of up in the Northeast, and they do untimed, and I think that's phenomenal. And their average match is like 5 minutes because that changes everything. See, another thing is, it even changes the way you fight. If you take two guys and you tell them they can win on points, that match will go to the end every time. You know, it's like, oh man, this guy's trying to match up, hold. He's holding for position. But the moment you know that you can only win with a submission,
You
points
don't
are out the
hold
window.
positions anymore.
You're not
You
holding
go
anymore.
for attacks.
So 9 out of 10 fights are going to end faster. And the 1 out of 10 that ends up being a 20-minute match because the people are so closely matched, it's okay because that mat that was consumed with that extra time made up for it. The other mats made up for it in their shortness of the match because I think points are bullshit. You know, I just think that's.
They don't count.
Oh, I got to
anywhere else in
mount.
the
Okay,
world.
well, what did you do from mount? You held it for a minute, and then I got out, but now you got 4 points on me, and now you're going to win from that. And I don't like that part about competition.
No.
So, anything else? We're at 2:55. I think we should at least touch on one more subject. I think one more subject's in order, and I think that subject's going to be a controversial subject.
Controversy.
Prohibition.
Yeah, it was. I never got an answer out of you though. You
What
never
answer?
told
What?
me. I asked you. You guys you're so evasive. You Globers. You're so fucking evasive.
Globular
Why?
invaders.
I said.
Just trying to spread the word, man.
Yeah, I
Just hear us
said-
out.
So if you this is ironic to me is that you said you don't think we've been to the moon.
don't.
Yet. So what?
But you think those 2 rockets coming backwards down to Earth
Yeah.
were real?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so fake.
What was SpaceX?
Yes.
Like,
It was
relanding
all
them?
fake. They never shot a convertible into space. Come on.
Yeah.
Gee, they do it all the time.
Oh
No.
my God.
Amazing.
There's a lady
Convertible
called,
hit the dome and went skittered back
Yeah.
down to Earth.
He's heading. The
Yep.
spaceman's heading to Mars right now.
There's
Sure.
Dude, I'm telling you.
There's a video about you got to watch it. There's a lady on YouTube who took the footage, the live stream footage of the Tesla in space, and she fucking got crazy on it. She just started watching it, and what she realized is that for 3 days, it was the same loop. Every time it came back around to that country, the clouds were in the same place. It was unquestionably a loop. Unquestionably. I can send you the link. You can do it yourself. You can watch. You're like, God dang, that's a 3-day loop. And then you got Elon Musk saying, you know, it's real because it looks so fake, right? And it's like, why would they fake? Why do you have to? If the background is fake and they say it's not in space, it is fake. It is I don't understand how 2 people can see that reality differently. I don't see how one guy, if I can sit here and tell you right now, if you go out there and research it, the video is there where the lady, you can do it yourself. I went and verified. She takes the video and shows you this is a loop. Some people will look at that and go, their brain just goes,
Nope.
nah. I mean, it's absolutely identical 3 days
And
in a
that's
row
not-
every time.
that-
But no, I have no explanation. There's no logical explanation in the world.
Okay.
But no, he told us it's there. They couldn't lie about that.
I'll look it up, and you know I do. You know me. I think to a point where I'll look it up, but I believe it because I think it's entertaining because I want to believe it. Does that make sense? Like
yeah, and
because I think it's really cool. Like if it is true, I'd rather believe that we're capable of doing something that's that awesome, right? And going out there and seeing these things and discovering new. I believe in the fiction part of it, like watching like Matrix.
The first time I watched it, I was like, this shit is so fake. And then I watched it again a week
Oh,
later.
no,
I was
I
like,
get it.
okay, that didn't change my mind.
Yeah.
I just watched it again
Yeah.
and it looked
no,
fake.
it does look fake. as
I-
shit.
it doesn't
I
look
get
fake.
it.
when,
It
when
is
you go
fake.
down,
But
when you go,
I like being dumb.
when you go down every road
Ignorance
and
is
like
bliss.
I literally a bad night for me is 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm talking we're on like year 3.
Yeah.
We're talking hundreds and hundreds of hours. My wife can tell you; she will vouch. I'm not exaggerating. There are days when I put in 12 hours, and I research everything. We're talking parallax. We're parallax of the stars. We're talking crepuscular rays. We're talking infrared
See, he
cameras.
He goes this deep to research
400, 500,
studies.
600 miles. We're talking. This is what I do. It's what I love, and I'm every angle I attack it. And I just don't see how I don't see how someone couldn't want to research that. I don't see how they couldn't want to know the truth. And I don't understand. Like, you'll show a guy a video of this guy becoming invisible, going around a corner in the ISS, and he's like, this guy. It's like, bro, what did you just see? I don't know. It's a glitch on the computer.
He just walked behind the green screen.
Yeah, he glitched. And I'm like, what do you think that means? If there's an ISS, they don't have to fake that. You understand that, right? Like, they don't have to. And then you'll see one where they're all eating in space, and there's like 10 people, and there's this dude's sending this dude's a cracker, and he's catching his mouth. But then they fucked up, and the ketchup bottle has gravity. It's like vibrating on the table. Like, you can see it. It's like every time they hit the table, it goes. Like, they just messed up. Like, one little fuck up, but they fucked up.
So
But they just overlooked it.
If you watch the videos, if you watch the ISS videos, any video that's panned back, and you get to see them freely floating, like
It lasts like 45 seconds.
like
or
they're
something.
in the
It's like a
back
minute
of
and a half,
back of the space station, and they grab the things and they float towards the camera, and they say something and do something. Those videos are like 45 seconds to a minute.
The limit
long.
they can do is 0
They're
G.
never longer than that.
Yeah.
Anytime they're
And they have the sound of jet engines in it.
and
They
the
all
sound
have
in
the
the
sound of jet engines. in them.
Anytime there's 2, 3, 4 of them standing there
Yeah.
floating for
Yeah.
4 or 5 minute interview
Yeah.
where they're doing that, they're showing the crack.
Yeah.
It's super
Yeah.
short, right?
No, those they
are,
can do
Those
it
are
for
extended when they're doing
they can do
when
this
they're doing
for-
a regular
yeah.
people in one spot not moving. The reason behind that is
It's
the
CGI.
one where they're
chroma key.
actually that's either a green screen or they're just held up with wires
Yeah.
when they're doing the long video. And you
believe
say
that.
do a somersault, and they do a somersault.
Yeah.
Right. And they catch themselves on the wire and
The
stop.
videos where they're able to actually float from one end of the space station to the other is simply an airplane
Yeah.
with a mock space station inside of it, going up as high as it can and then dropping down for 45 seconds of anti-gravity.
And it's the same reason they can't
Let's do 2
it.
takes, and they
Yeah.
pick that. Destroy the other take because we can't let anybody see it.
And then
Why-
and you
why-
can see their hair. Their hair, like, you can clearly see hairspray. Like when
think I
you
did
go
my
like
hair
this and
today
you turn
for
and it goes like that. Like non-hairspray is like this, right? It's like
Yeah.
this. But they're like
Theirs
this.
like
They
this.
turn and it goes. It's like antlers, right?
On the extended videos.
Yeah.
On the short videos, there actually are an anti-gravity. They're just
Right.
an airplane.
And the hair is totally different.
I love when their hair is
Yeah.
gelled up.
It stays up.
How are you able to drive around on the moon with that lunar module thing, right?
Well, you do that in the desert or wherever they did it. Like, that's not the moon.
Right, like if you float and jumping on, is there
Have you
gravity
seen-
on the
have
moon?
you
Oh, no.
seen
What
the-
they did is if you take that and speed it up
Speed it up times 2.
times 2,
It
it's
looks
just
completely
normal.
normal.
It's completely normal. It's-
jumping, walking. Right, I saw that.
Yeah, all you have to do is
just look
speed
like
that
you're
up
running.
times 2, and it's normal. If you just tell a guy, go out there and run around, jump, whatever,
Right.
and then you slow
Slow
that
motion.
down to half speed,
looks like
you
they're
get the moon.
jumping.
You get, yeah, they've,
So
you-
that's
Especially if they're moving towards you in your vision, because they're getting larger as they move towards you. It's an optical illusion. If someone runs across your vision at half speed, it just looks like they're running.
I'm in
half
IT.
speed.
I've been in IT for 26 years or something like that, and the amazing thing is on the first moon landing, Nixon called them.
Calls them up,
on
yeah.
a fucking phone, like
Literally picks
yeah,
the phone
he picks.
up.
Hey, how
Hey,
y'all
is
doing?
that
Yeah.
you?
And then there's like the delay is like 3 seconds, right? We're talking 237,000 miles. Never tested links between
To Houston.
and on top
From
of that,
the
like
moon to Houston, and then from Houston to DC in 1963.
And if you were, it's already, that would be hard to do from Earth. Like it's been tested and tested and tested. It's like, okay, you got to have that satellite at this tilt, this
I
angle,
lose my
point here.
signal in
Yeah.
Ocala National Forest.
And yet none of this has ever been tested. And then you don't even see a satellite anywhere. No, like they'd have to have a massive fucking satellite, right? But that, as if they just got there and got it right the first time. You know, like, yeah, you're gonna point this didn't happen. The phone call never happened. We were never on the moon. I mean, I hate to say it,
Never
but
on the moon.
you just got to research it. I'm sorry, we didn't go to the moon. And if you can grasp that, if you can get that far, if you can just make that
That's
one step.
That's the problem. With,
I'm at that
That's
one
the
step.
problem with the moon. My theory on how the human brain works, is it's so hard to admit the moon thing, because even if they haven't consciously thought of what that means, because your brain.
That's
my
where it
personal
starts.
belief. My personal belief is that the thoughts you have actively, it's like walking in the woods. If you see a poisonous snake, you probably walked by 5 before you saw that one. I think that's how thoughts are, and how your brain fires is for every thought you catch, for every thought my consciousness catch, my brain probably had 5 or 6 and automatically threw out 4 of them. Stop staring, don't be an idiot, don't say that, da 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 da, and then I form my sentence and it comes out. I think the same way about that other, it's the same way. You're I don't know.
I'm just
How to explain
saying
it. I'm getting lost on a tangent.
how someone can't want to know. It
Oh,
just
that's what we're talking
blows
about.
my mind.
The
It's
reason
like,
they can't
how
want to
could you
know,
want- not
I went
wanna
off on the
know,
tangent
bro?
of how the brain works, but the reason they can't know is because if they admit that we didn't go to the moon, that automatically
ramifications.
correlates to we probably can't go to space.
Yes.
And then that crushes all of these
Yes.
other theories.
Yeah.
If you allow it to crush
Because
all these other theories
I-
are we just numbers in a computer somewhere?
So what people don't realize is that the distance to the, we measure stars, the distance to stars in astronomical units, and an astronomical unit is the distance from Earth to the sun, which has went anywhere from 3 million miles to 104 million miles, depending on, like, there's been like a multitude of scientists, from Kepler to Copernicus to Eratosthenes to all these guys, and they've all said different distances, anywhere from 3 million, and then we have people today saying 3,000 miles.
Yeah,
right. It's
super
like
close.
it depends on how big you say the sun is. As the trigonometry works, or geometry, whatever you want to call it, but you're just using
It only works if you know the
Pythagorean theory.
diameter of the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
But so as soon as you adjust the size of the sun, the distance changes, right? If you make the sun 32 miles wide, then all of a sudden it's only 3,100 miles up in the air, right? And then the astronomical unit becomes that, and then the distance to stars, all this stuff changes. But at our current accepted distance to the sun, which is 93, an AU is 93 million miles, the nearest star is 26 trillion miles away. Trillion. That's the nearest one. That's Alpha Centauri. It's a tri-star system. Alpha Centauri, A, B, and whatever. But the crazy thing about that is, we were talking about this. If you watch that movie Ascension, or lots of movies, when you're traveling through space on a spaceship or whatever, you expect to see stars going by. You expect to see what's called parallax, right? There's no parallax in our skies. We're supposed to be hurling through space, just like a spaceship would, no differently, right? If you think about it,
We're going with the helical model where it's all following
if
the
you
sun?
think about it scientifically, we're supposed to be hurling through space, no differently than a spaceship, right? You should see parallax in the stars. We do not see any parallax.
I don't care how slow we're moving through space over the, I don't know, what's the known from Sumerian in their cuneiform, was that 7,000 years ago?
Yeah, 6,500, 7,000 years
So
ago.
if 7,000 years ago the sun was here and the Earth and all the other planets were following the sun, you
It would
you
change.
can't tell me that
the
picture
backdrop
you see,
would change, right? It
You know?
would change nightly. Honestly,
it would change a little bit nightly,
I think it would change
or
tremendously.
it might change tremendously.
nightly.
But
Like,
what I'm saying is,
it can't stay
it just
the same.
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
can't
make
stay the
sense,
same.
right? And even astrologists and cosmologists have this argument today. Like, you can't have that backdrop as the stars. And then when you take that backdrop, even the fact that it plays like a record perfectly, it just spins.
Yeah.
When you take, so you say, okay, there's no parallax, but on top of that, it just plays like a record on top of us, and on top of
spinning
that, we
top.
haven't been to space, and on top of that, we haven't circumvented the globe north to south or vice versa, and on top of that, you're not allowed to go to Antarctica freely and explore
Ooh,
it, and on
Antarctica.
Antarctica, it's like when you start stacking these things up, if you don't see the correlation, and you don't see, and then if you call yourself religious, and you don't realize that there would be an oligarchy or a cabal trying to mislead us, and that the Bible, all the Abrahamic Bibles and all the other religions say the earth is flat, right? You call yourself religious, but at the same time you want to deny a flat earth, and then you don't even have the balls to research it. Like, man up, man. Have the balls to research it. Fucking just research it. Put in 10 hours, 50 hours. It should be the most important thing in your life. It really should. If this would be the biggest lie ever told, damn, man. And it's not just possible. The irony is the majority of people who research it
Start leaning.
come to believe. Look,
Yeah.
Crone
The more
Gracie,
research
Eddie
you do.
Bravo, all these, feel like people in our industry.
I've only researched it very lightly, and I'm already on the fence.
What happens is when you do a little bit of research and you come to this conclusion, and you're like, shit, what the fuck am I seeing? I gotta prove myself wrong real quick. That's where you spin out of control. It's trying to prove yourself wrong. You can't. And then when you realize, damn, I must be right, then you got to look even further, and then it just becomes an obsession, which it is for me right now. That's why I can't stop talking about it.
There's more. I don't want to say there's more. So there's more reasons for them to lie to you than there are for them to tell you that. Using the word "them" very loosely.
This would all
There's
be
more
a war.
reasons for
This
them
is-
to lie to you than there is for them to tell you the truth.
Look,
So
man.
when you say they, you're talking
Whoever
government,
they is.
the government.
If you think the government's in control, then the government. If you think there's something behind the government, then
Cabal.
whatever you think is in control. If you think there's a cabal, or if you think it's the Clintons running everything, or
It's
think
not a
Joe
politician.
Rogan's the next.
It's not a.
No, I don't think
You can
whoever,
guarantee.
whoever you think is behind the curtain.
the man behind the curtain.
Whoever you think that is, everybody, doesn't matter who you think it is. If you think it's God proper in the Abrahamic religions, whoever you think is actually pulling the levers,
The puppeteer.
whoever the puppeteer is, thank you, it's better for them to lie to you than it is for them to tell you the truth.
But see, like
Ignorance is bliss, buddy.
what you
For
what
you it
no,
is.
for
Yeah,
you it
no.
is.
But there's always going to be the bad apple or the rotten apple who's going to go, wait a second.
I don't think that's the bad apple. I
No,
think
no,
that's
I don't
the
either,
philosopher.
but that's what it's
The-
going to be looked at as,
the
the bad apple.
modern
the one that's
day-
making waves.
A modern day
Question.
thinker.
But one out of 100 people is going to question it, and then he's going to start to spout knowledge or what he thinks is knowledge. He could be a total maniac.
I don't profess like.
You don't profess
I just
to know.
wanna
You just
talk
profess
about
to
it.
have done the research.
I just want to talk about
Yeah.
it. I just want. You know what? I'm not talking about it to tell you I'm right. I'm not saying.
You're talking about it
I'm
to
telling
figure
you
it
what I
out.
believe.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you, as a believer of the other side, can give me something
Can look at it
convincing to look at.
open-mindedly,
You know,
yeah.
but let's have the conversation. But it's funny because, you see posts on Facebook that'll say, it'll just be like a jab, like these fucking memes about flat earthers and like how stupid they are. It's like, it's sad that we have to spend time. I'm like, bro, it was never settled. What's sad is that you think we've been to the moon. I know we haven't been to the moon. Like, I'm beyond belief. I'm beyond faith. I'm certain we haven't been. See, I have
I
beliefs.
was questioning
and
about
then
the
there's
moon,
things
and I'm not. There's no way.
what I am intelligent enough to know is that we haven't been to the moon. I am that intelligent. All right. So if you,
And that one thing has so many implications. That's the problem.
yes, and then if you can just get there, if you can do the research
If you
around
get
that,
there, you're already.
you're,
And then you
you're
start
halfway
questioning
there.
like the ISS, and you look at the ISS photos. So yeah, I mean it's weird. It's a
Well, take
flip-flop.
like I was
Well,
gonna
not
mention
photos,
earlier.
but videos. Like you guys obviously
Take
already
alcohol for example.
stated. Alcohol.
We had some bourbon or whiskey or whatever it was, and how much did that bottle cost?
$20.
$20. And a lot of that was them making money off it and taxes. And the first combustion engine ran off alcohol, ethanol alcohol, that like from corn or grain or all of the stuff we use to make alcohol today is what was used in the first combustion engine by a German engineer. And then before it was Ford Motor Company, it was just Henry Ford. Henry Ford, before he started the company, he just was making vehicles. The first vehicle he made was the quadricycle, which wasn't really much of a vehicle. It was just an engine with wheels that you could sit on top. That ran on alcohol. And that was in like 1904, 1906, something like that. Then 12, 13, Henry Ford, the Ford Motor Company comes out with the Model A. Well, by the time they got to the Model T, it was a petroleum-based vehicle. All the models before that were alcohol-based. They would run off a corn or a grain or any, and most of the great thing was most of it was leftovers. Because if you're not going to drink it, if you're going to make corn whiskey, you just use corn kernels. But if you're just going to make rubbing alcohol, you can use the husks. You can use the grass. You can make alcohol out of anything. You can distill your grass cuttings and make it. You wouldn't want to drink it,
but it would motorize a vehicle.
Right.
And then, right when vehicles became very popular and started to actually replace the horse and carriage, guess who stepped in? I don't know exact names. I haven't done I'm researching it right now. I'll have names for you eventually. But basically, I'll figure out the names later. But basically, the government and big oil stepped in and said, we ain't having
Because
none
of lobbying,
none
and
of
they're
this
gonna-
alcohol
Yep.
shit. And in 1913 and again in 1914, they passed tariffs and laws against alcohol to make oil the more popular. And then by the time the Model T came out, almost all, but not all.
I mean, there's
Almost all vehicles have been petroleum based, and your vehicle today could run off just straight alcohol from corn husks and imagine how much waste,
not my
but imagine how much vegetative waste this country produces that could be turned and is right now turned into alcohol that could be powering motor vehicles instead of and that was just one thing. You start really dipping into historical revolutions and you start to look behind the scenes a little bit and you start to find a lot of shady, which goes back to the puppeteer. It's more, I don't want to say better, it's more financially viable to lie to you than it is to let you choose for yourself.
Right.
It's better to sell you stovetop than for you to eat a salad.
Yeah, you see it every day.
Stovetop's easy and it has a shelf life of 1 million years. It's more financially viable, but it's not good for you.
Where does that leave us?
Prohibition was fake. And was literally and it's how many, I don't know. Like I said, I'm researching it. I actually have a book that I started reading about prohibition and how it ties into all of that and how alcohol became to be. Because before vehicles and petroleum-based fuel, alcohol was dirt cheap. Yeah. Alcohol was cheaper than gasoline. You could go buy a bottle of your choice of alcohol for less than you could buy a gallon of booze for less than a gallon of gasoline before they started taxing it to make it a non-viable option for motor vehicles.
Water used to be free.
Still is if you live somewhere with a well, but
You can get in trouble for saving it.
Correct.
Yeah,
If you choose to live in an urban setting, though, yeah, you're either drinking their water or you're buying your own.
You're denying the watershed.
Could you imagine if you could get a group of people and buy an island and have your own laws? Could you imagine how far advanced that island could go, right?
Oh,
like
yeah. If it was big enough.
You'd be running cars on water or some shit. Like
There's
the
a guy
government
in Brazil that
saw that his motorcycle, yeah. But
saw
there was
that on Henry's
the
post.
guy before him, right? Was running his buggy on water and he got killed by the
Oh really? No,
Men in
I didn't know
Black.
that he got killed.
Yeah, there was a guy in Australia running his buggy. I can't remember his
And
name
it's
right
it's
now.
all it's just like an insurance company. It's risk and expenditure.
He was in the news. He was driving his car on water.
Is it easier to let him keep climbing his ladder and possibly one day starting a revolution, or should we just off him and it's going to cost us this much in blowback and PR?
And how does the water function based off the hydrogen?
Well, he didn't.
I don't know the technology.
Yeah, I mean,
but
that was he was. That's where he was gonna make his money, right? Obviously he was gonna either.
I'm not going to tell you how it works.
But he would show that
That's
he
the
had this
argument
car.
with electricity.
You can do it. You could go home
Electrically
today and build
powered
a hobby hydrogen engine, but it wouldn't be powerful enough to power a motorcycle or a full-blown vehicle. He figured out how to get it to power. I think it was like 1.
Well, there are people.
2.8 horsepower.
Ironically, today we can, without him, today we can all run cars on water today and not have a loss of horsepower. There's a guy on YouTube, and he's a scientist for a major college. I don't remember the college, but he's a credible guy.
Yeah.
He's published, in several journals about that. I mean, this is like, I'd say it's indisputable, right? The guy shows you like he's a faculty for a major college, right? And he has a Corvette that he runs on hydrogen, but he uses I don't know, it's not a chemical. He uses an element that is illegal. The element is like, it's part of making a nuclear bomb, But he says this element, you can't make a nuclear bomb with this element alone, but it is
yeah.
required. You know, I can't remember what element it is, but basically, you know, the water interacts with that and it creates unlimited hydrogen, and he can drive his car all over the world with just water, right? And he's like, you know, the world could do this, but that's like a class A or whatever you want to call it, you know, illegal element. But he got a some kind of provision for him for testing for his college where he could do it. But he shows the whole process, describes the whole process, shows exactly how it works, the patents around it, whatnot. But we could be driving cars on water today. And I just found out the other day that Tesla gets a $15,000 government subsidy for every car they sell. So he actually makes a lot. He loses money on every car, and the government subsidizes $15,000. I don't even know who that benefits or how. Like, but
Somebody's getting paid.
I want one.
Tesla?
The model. I want a Model 3.
they're sick
I don't even
fast,
wanna
like
sit- I don't even wanna
2.7
sit
seconds
near
to 60.
They tone them down though. Like, you know what I mean? They're
Yeah, but you can dial them. Like
they
you
dial
can
them
just
down, but
yeah,
you can dial them back
yeah,
up.
you can
with
just
the
dial. You
program.
can put it in race mode, and then it's like instantly all four. And on top of that, like a gas engine, even with like, I remember him talking about this, like how a gas engine has this lag.
There's
even if
there's
you
not
let
only
off
a
the
lag,
gas,
but there's also the transfer of power through the drivetrain. You
Right.
lose a ton.
Yeah.
You're talking about all
Yeah.
that torsion that's
Yeah.
going to moving metal parts
Yeah.
before it gets to the wheels.
yeah.
It has none of that.
No, you got 4 engines.
Yeah.
Four electric engines.
And if the computer removes power to it, it's instant. So the traction control of a Tesla.
It's something like 32 times a second or 68 times. It's
ridiculous.
It's some division. It's either 32 or 64 times a second that
But
it,
go
that
on
it is
YouTube.
checking every tire.
Yeah.
Saying, "Are you lost control? Are you good?
Go
You
on
good? You
YouTube
good?
and
You
watch.
Good? You good?
Watch some of these Teslas racing like
Yeah, it's stupid.
700 and 800 horsepower Fox body
Because
Mustangs.
it doesn't matter at
and,
that point.
You know, LS1 blown
Power
Corvettes.
doesn't matter anymore.
These are
It's-
factory Teslas just
yeah. It's
rating.
that application of force to the tires that's
Yeah.
so instantaneous.
Yeah.
One day I'll have one.
One day when the cryptos hit, bro. When the
When
cryptos
the
hit.
cryptos hit. I never would buy one even if I had the money. But that new Acura NSX is disgusting.
I
I
like the show GT. On
Yeah.
Prime.
I've watched it. I don't watch it, but I have.
Yeah, I
watched it.
watched it. Those guys are funny, the British guys. And they have it's a Honda now,
What's that?
NSX.
No, the new Acura, the 2018.
It's Honda now. I know.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it's
I haven't
Honda
looked it
now.
up since
They
it was
changed
Dude,
it.
what I want, if I
Got
get
big
like,
old Honda symbol on the front.
Oh wow.
I'm in love with the Impala SS, the new Impala.
I haven't seen it. Like a
sick. I heard-
2018.
Yeah, it's,
19?
I don't know the man.
I like the old school.
All I know is I
64.
like I like the new
riders.
Impalas. They just look good in general.
Yeah.
But the other day I was coming out of Carrabba's and I heard this gnarly growl, man. It was just like fucking grizzly bear. And I looked and it was an Impala SS. I didn't even know they made one. I mean, either the guy dropped a LS1 in it and fake badged it up, but it was a brand new. It was a brand new Impala and it was just sick and it just sounded nasty.
That's what's hard to get away from. Like when you talk about electric vehicles, though, right? You're not gonna get that. That's
You just
the
get a loud
cool
sound system and
Yeah.
fake
play that.
exhaust.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
when you step on the gas pedal,
Right. But
it's not
so
a Prius.
Yeah.
back to that show I was talking, like I was bringing up, where they had the Honda NSX. I think one of the guys was driving a Lamborghini, and the other one had a custom made, and I don't remember what country, from Slovakia or something like that, right? Where it was a supercar and it was all electric, 4 motors, super fast. They did a start from 0 to 60. They did a quarter-mile race or whatever. And the electric one just blew it out of the water. Blew the Lamborghini,
Yep.
made it look like it was a Ford Taurus, right? And the guys were driving it, and they're going these back roads in Germany or something. And I was thinking to myself, God, I can't believe they let these guys, they have some experience driving, but he's driving like this super car and is a super fast. And not even 30 seconds after I said that or thought it in my mind, I was by myself. I don't talk to myself out loud at
Yeah,
least.
you do.
Not even 30 seconds. He rolled off the road and crashed it, and I was like, holy crap! This is episode
Nice.
1 or 2, right? And I was like, wow, he got hospitalized. The car caught on fire, and yeah, just destroyed it, right? His beautiful supercar, electric, super fast. And but I attribute that to he doesn't have the sound of the exhaust. He doesn't have the feeling of the engine. He's used to driving super fast cars like a Lamborghini and Ferraris and stuff like that. But he's not used to an electric supercar that doubles that amount of speed.
Yeah.
And he drove it right. And they even made a joke about it afterwards. And after it was all said and done, that car caught fire spontaneously, like a week after, like every day or every couple of days, a week after, after that wreck because of the lithium batteries, right? So it's interesting, and Tesla's electric powered is interesting, but I think you're gonna have like us old school guys, like our kids and stuff, won't probably have gas, petroleum. We hope, right, that we get smart enough to get away from that.
That they do.
We hope that we get away from that.
Well,
No
you have a
children.
kid? You got
It's okay. Yeah,
all right.
we've got two. I've got two. They're not gonna drive like
I'm gonna edit that out.
our kids aren't and their kids.
Well, your kids don't know what the world was like before the internet.
That's what I'm saying. I
Or
hope my
Or-
kids know who I am. That'd be
you're-
pretty cool.
you're-
'Cause I
you're
haven't-
the
They're
problem-
connected. You're connected. Like what people don't realize is that if I go right now and I pull my phone out of my pocket and you say something and you guys are talking and I go Google what you said.
I was about to because I wanted to see that.
I'm
in
connected.
Paula.
You don't realize that you're already, and I know Rogan's talked about this, but I thought this before I ever heard him say it. You're already part of it. You're already an android. You already
Yeah,
have.
it's my
You're already. You don't even realize it, but you're already in Star Wars.
Do you know-
You just can't beam anybody up yet.
Did you know that Elon Musk is trying with the spinal thread? He's
Yeah.
trying to get rid of. This is the bandwidth. This is our slow, right?
Yeah, he
He's
was
trying
talking about
The
that.
brain mesh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like getting it.
Yeah, we're not even close
we
to
don't
that.
Even have to. We don't even have to pick up the
Yeah,
phone.
we're not
like,
even close to
we
that.
just tap into the
There's
internet.
70 billion cells in your brain, and
Now,
30 billion of them are neurons.
This is the thing, though. Like you're talking about transhumanism, right? And that's a problem because I think that would be a sin. I think that would be sinning. Like you think about that. You think if there's a God, he is an organic God. He's not mixed with science, right?
He's a hippie god.
I doubt he's like a half Cray computer, right? He's not a half supercomputer, right? He's
Wires sticking out of his ears and shit.
yeah. It's like you're trying to compete with him, right? It's
Yeah.
like he didn't design you that way. You weren't
They
meant
were
to be
here
that way.
first.
I would consider that sinning against yourself. I mean,
God, that's beautiful. Them Paula.
they are beautiful, man. They're sexy as can be.
Come
I
on.
almost had sex with the muffler. I almost snuck behind it.
There's 4 of them. We could all
Jammed it
join
up.
in. All
Yep.
4 of us.
Yeah, it's aggressive looking. And it sounds good. What's the horsepower on it?
Let me get into that. Keep going. What you're talking about.
How close are the mufflers together?
I don't know. We'd definitely be like arm around each other.
I'm out.
No? Oh God, I'm just looking at images. It's like porn. Cars are just like porn.
Car porn.
Car porn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll know when I've got a little bit of money because I'll
Dude,
have
30,
that.
it's
You
saying
roll up in
30,000.
SS.
30,000 or MSRP at 28, 197 to 305 horsepower. So depending on what model you get, 39 miles or 30 miles on the highway for
305 is the big one, huh?
305 is
That's
the
the
big one.
SS. I wonder if that's the SS or if that's just you're talking about base model options. I wonder if that's because that SS
Premier is
sounded,
37.
sounded nasty as can be. I mean, it was just gargling.
Yeah.
2LZ.
Yeah, I can't do cars.
You saw that Camaro came out with a Exorcist.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's the Dodge. What's Dodge have? The Hellcat or whatever it's
The
called.
Hellcat.
The-
I think it's a Hellcat.
It's got a
Or the
Hellcat and
Demon.
they've got
What's
the Demon. They've
Yeah.
got 2.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of Hellcats. You don't see a lot
Yeah.
of Demons. Demons are,
Yeah.
they're crazy.
Yeah, the Camaro is the demon killer. The Camaro Exorcist is the demon. It's the fastest production car made in the world.
Really?
Yeah, it's 1,000 horsepower or 1,000 plus horsepower.
Yeah,
It's
the
Demon
Demon
Killer.
was, they have like a separate key for it. Like there's a race, and it's a drag car. They, I want to say whoever the governing agent for drag racing banned it, from competing. But
Well, that'd be a toss-up though if I could have a Tesla the downside to Teslas right now, the downside to an electric car is you know, it's not that easy to just drive across the U.S. You know, you get,
Right. You have to set it up like, okay, let me find out my charging stations.
yeah,
Right. You basically just have to find a Tesla store or something like that to that
Yeah.
function. But you know, but I attribute that to how many times a month or year do I actually get in my car and travel with my kids. You know, maybe we go down to Orlando and the Disney parks and stuff like that, but not so much. You know, it's more
driving around town. I guess if you're just gonna drive it around town, that's pretty cool. But
What I wanted, so when I started my intermittent fasting deal, my keto, I had a ton of energy. That's all died out. But one of my ideas was like renting a car. I created a company where you can basically just pay like a monthly subscription, but you get a car for that month, and then like you can upgrade depending on your level and stuff. But that idea since has died down because you know, there's too much legalities in that. But what made me really kind of die off that idea was the fact that, you know, probably in the future with these self-driving cars, we're going to get to a point where we don't even have to own a car. Like, we'll just punch in our app, kind of like how Uber does, right?
A lot of people that don't own
A
cars.
car will come pick you up, drop you off at work,
Yeah.
and then go off and do
Yeah.
another run, right? And you're not wasting that time or making payments, insurance.
Well, it's not
maintenance,
just not
gas.
just you either. You own a vehicle. You personally own a vehicle that you. How many hours a day, Monday through Friday, do you drive that vehicle?
Hours. I wouldn't even say. Well,
So
to
the
and from
the
work,
amount of time.
to and from
so
work,
Monday
less
through
than what?
less than 30 minutes a day.
No, because my commute sucks. So I'd say less than 2 or 3 hours a day.
Oh, less. Okay, so let's just say 2 hours a day. So
Right.
that's 10. Your vehicle at most is being used for 10 hours Monday through Friday.
Right.
So
Think
if
about
you,
all the
if
other
you
stuff
shared
that-
if you shared vehicles and you went to work at 7 and I went to whatever, or you went to work at 7 and then it immediately went and picked up somebody up and took a grocery run. Then it immediately went and took an old lady to drop off her animals to the vet.
That's the company to
each,
have.
Each vehicle, if say a neighborhood of 30 people, or an apartment complex of 30 people, they each own a car. That's 30 cars. If that entire apartment complex could get away with 4 self-driving vehicles,
Yeah.
it would be
And,
just that.
and
And
autonomous
imagine what would happen
and
with traffic.
controlled, and there's no accidents because everyone's.
And
going at
imagine
the
what would
same-
happen with traffic if
There'd be no
a
traffic.
fourth of the cars.
Because everybody it'd be time. People would be getting on and off at a structured, percentage. It'd be no traffic, no wrecks, because they would avoid wrecks. And
Yeah, there'd still be wrecks. Somebody would
It
do
would-
something stupid. Come on.
Or
we're
if you're not in
humans.
control, if you're letting the computer.
Somebody
do it
would
for you.
figure out how to be in control. If there's one thing you got to know about humans is we're going to break it. We break everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to happen.
We'll see- we'll see
Let's
what-
name something we haven't broke yet. Okay.
they had a video on that though. That what you're talking about. I saw the.
Really?
Yeah, they had a video saying the same thing that
Yeah.
we're in like in 10,
Car sharing.
10 or 20 years or something like that. You're not
It'll
gonna
be
have
stupid.
a car.
Owning a car will be a luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll just be you'll be that guy on the block that still owns
That's
a car.
causing
Yeah.
accidents because
Well, you just have so much money that you still have enough to own a car.
Yeah. And it'd be.
I mean, in New York City, it's a luxury to own a car.
petroleum-based 1,000 horsepower car that just makes a lot of noise. That's because
You'll be the only car on the road making noise.
yeah.
But there's always going to be somebody that's going to hold out and keep a motor vehicle.
God, there's so many. Like, what would there's so many on the road right now.
Oh, there's
what
so-
happens to
I
all
mean,
those?
it's like-
Jesus.
It's like giving up a firearm for some people. You ain't taking my guns.
Oh, that's why
You're not taking the truck either. You know what I mean?
You gotta force elderly people not to drive. It's like because that's their last freedom. And I think we've brought this up on the podcast
Have you?
before. Yeah, where it's like when I get older,
I don't think you have to to force them to not drive, but
you take that away from them. It's
I-
like now I'm useless. I could just stay home and I gotta wait for someone to. pick
yeah,
me
but you should require them to take a driver's test more often. I would want.
up. I wrote a paper.
I don't think you ever have to, right?
You don't ever have to. Say you turn 65, you just keep driving. Nobody ever has to check up on you.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, you don't have to go in. There's not in America, no. I know not in Florida at least.
I think you're right. I think that's how it
No,
works.
you just drive until you drive until you're deemed reckless by the state. So if you're a 77-year-old lady who's been in 3 accidents in 4 months,
It's time for you to go.
at some point in time, somebody's going to say something. But no, you don't turn 65 and have to go take a driver's test every 5 years just in case.
But you'll never get that. You'll never get that law passed in Florida. There's too many old drivers.
Republicans.
3:30, guys. We wrapped. We put down 3.5 hours. I think that's long enough to satisfy the 2 watchers we got.
Sweet.
My goal's hopefully we'll get to 3 this week. I think Alex told his grandma, so
I was told his grandma.
we might be up to 3 now.
Noob.
Come on, man.
I called him
thought you
Noob
were gonna be here
Noob.
today.
I called him Noob Thursday in class, and he just looked at me funny. I'm like,
Dude, that's his nickname.
I know it's
Noob
gonna
now,
stick.
dude. You're
It
gonna
is
have to-
stick. He is the noob.
I'm not calling him Alex anymore.
Noob.
If I slip up and call him Alex, choke me.
Well, thank you for listening, Noob's grandma.
Noob's grandma.
Yep, and we got to give a shout out to Laura.
And
She's
Laura,
probably hung
shout
in the
out.
whole 3.5 hours.
And Jeff,
waiting.
Jeff's already here. He sent me a message on Facebook, so yeah, I guess you don't count because you were
What?
Yeah,
that you listen to the podcast.
I've watched every one. I watch
Yeah.
them all. Well, I don't. I watch them.
we're our own 3 viewers.
There you go.
we account for 99% of the views.
I get a kick out of it. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's pretty cool. Like some of the YouTube videos are over 100 now, and some of the podcast videos are getting up there. It's slowly people are, there's someone out there listening.
Comment on the YouTube. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, or drop a topic you think we should talk about. That'd be cool.
DM me.
Topics.
I got to experiment this week with Skype, bringing someone in on Skype, because I have a couple people reach
Okay.
out to me, not in Jacksonville, like, dude, they want to be on the show. That'd be cool, and I want to go live with it as well.
That's great.
So, all right, we out. Hope y'all had fun.
Peace.